79%. Chapter 381. The Final Disaster of the Universe. Chapter 381. The Final Disaster of the Universe. Qin Sheng found the things that have been emphasized in Zinch's words and raised a rhetorical question. The final disaster. This made Zinch fall into silence and fell into deep thought. Even you don't know. Zinch's reaction made Qin Sheng wonder, what's the point of talking so long that you don't even know? Could it be a lie to whitewash oneself and forcibly complete it? The first batch of creations in the universe, in your terms, are gods, the original gods. After pondering for a long time, Zinch finally spit out the answer. The original god. A brand new vocabulary entered Qin Sheng's mind. They are the first batch of children of the will of the universe. They are powerful, and they broke through space and went to other universes shortly after their arrival. Since you have gone to other universes, why do you still run back? Even if you come back, what's the difference? It's different from going home. Is it possible that you want to exterminate other life? What kind of threat is this? Qin Sheng thought it was some kind of terrifying existence. It was just a wild child who had been wandering outside for a long time and wanted to go home. But each of them is a creature that transcends the existing cosmic level. Forcibly coming to the real world, it will destroy the spatial hierarchy and cause a series of cosmic disasters. You have also seen many dimensional creatures. Although they are in different dimensions, but at least in this world, there are still many horrible disasters in the descending world. Then what about those super-dimensional creatures that transcend the world level? That's true. Qin Sheng recalled the scene when he first encountered the demon of the plane, and easily destroyed his entire fleet. As Zinch said, even though it is a high-dimensional, at least it is still in this world, so the damage caused can be controlled. If those super-dimensional creatures come back, with one breath, level 8 and level 9 civilizations will be wiped out, let alone those small civilizations. Then do you have a way to deal with those creatures? It's impossible to kill them directly, but it's still possible to expand their strength to their level, keep them out of the world barrier, and prevent them from coming back. This is indeed a way. Qin Sheng nodded in approval. But the problem now is that we have been confined in the subspace for too long, and the upper limit of our strength has been suppressed. Now when we face those terrifying creatures, we are afraid that they will be wiped out with just one breath. Speaking of this, Zinch's expression unexpectedly appeared. Fear, very afraid of those ancient creatures. Then why didn't you talk about these things like the spirit race? Qin Sheng was very curious. As the largest race in the universe, the spirit race is not bad. If Zinch launched a joint alliance, it would not be easy to deal with those monsters. You think too highly of the spirit race. They don't have the ability to observe the future. After a long period of wisdom accumulation, I peeped into the truth of the universe before I found out the reason for our birth. Not only the spirit race couldn't find out, but they also questioned me. If you say that, you think I'm deceiving people. I had no choice but to join forces with other evil gods to deal with the spirit race, but I didn't expect that the war would intensify and lead to the destruction of the spirit race. Zinch lamented the sadness of history. At that time, he had just understood the power of time, and the course of the war could not be changed by him. I knew I was at fault, and I secretly helped the spirit race retain a trace of blood, that is, those Waho remnants, covering their tracks, and thus avoided the spirit race's real extinction. Qin Sheng really didn't expect that there would be such a secret in the disaster of the spirit race. Although Zinch is extremely cunning on weekdays, he has fought against him many times, and the emotional outpouring this time doesn't seem to have a trace of deceit at all. Do the other evil gods know about this? I don't know, even if I know that they don't care anymore. They are driven by their desires, and I just learned about it unintentionally due to my thirst for knowledge. Besides, the last counterattack of the spirit race sealed everyone in the subspace, where their last wisdom, there are constant struggles in the subspace. Zinch sighed again, lamenting the pathetic situation of his three brothers. Unable to leave the subspace, I try to operate as much as possible, control the universe, and promote his progress so that I can quickly improve my strength when I go out, so as to face the ultimate disaster. I have to say that Zinch is really tragic, and Qin Sheng can't help but feel sympathy for him. No one believes that he can only complete the mission by himself, and admires his courage to carry the banner alone. So where are those monsters now, and how long before they return? Wandering outside the barriers of our universe, the will of the great universe still protects us, but at some point it will take back its protection. It used to be shortly after we broke through the shackles of the subspace, and now I'm afraid it will be after you subdue all the evil gods. Zinch explained, but he could feel that with Qin Sheng's progress, that day would only come sooner. Qin Sheng also understands that the time until the day when the protection is released will only continue to shrink, and what Zinch gave is only a rough idea, and the specifics are mainly related to his own strength. If he wants to deal with those extra-dimensional creatures, he must at least get around level 10 civilization. If I fail to stop the disaster, all life will come to an end, restart the timeline and come to another life, and it may not be able to return to the current level. There are too many uncertain factors, and the system may not choose me, just like the previous life. In the end, he died on the way to defeat the evil god. Zinch, is there any chance for you to return to your original state? Is this original power for you? Qin Sheng took out the original power that he had planned to trade with Zinch. Zinch has fulfilled his promise, so he should also the delivery party shall be paid. Zinch took the original power from Qin Sheng, tried it out, and then returned the original power. Although this original source has my breath, it has already been strengthened by the will of the universe. If my original source Li's Jiao power is not lost, it can be swallowed up. But now my original source is lost and my spirit is damaged. I have lost my meaning, you might as well leave it to that child of Slanesh. Qin Sheng was in a bit of a dilemma. If Zinch couldn't recover, he would lose a lot of help. His wisdom is unmatched, and Korn and Nurgle have now swallowed Zinch's source. I'm afraid that his power will increase greatly, and he will be even more difficult to deal with. Although iron heart assimilation can directly subdue Zinch and heal his wounds, Qin Sheng is afraid of any negative effects. Zinch is different from Slanesh, he possesses great wisdom. If he resisted, he might directly cause the system to backfire, and then trigger a series of chain reactions, so he hesitated. Zinch naturally saw Qin Sheng's thoughts. If you also want to use the same willpower that you used against Slanesh on me, then come on. Are you sure? 79%. Chapter 382 Iron Heart Assimilation, Evilina. Chapter 382 Iron Heart Assimilation, Evilina. Qin Sheng couldn't believe that Zinch had proposed this idea on his own initiative. Indeed, I should hate you like Cha Zanak and want to kill you, because you always interfere with my actions, and you also killed my loyal subordinates, which brought me war. But my wisdom persuaded me to let go of hatred, everything is mission-oriented, and the endless reincarnation reset has made me feel tired. Zinch went from anger, to relief, to loneliness, and his incomparable wisdom made him the only one who understood the truth. Out of his desire for exploration, he also understood what he did in reincarnation, and kept doing it. Seeing what he did every time, promoting the development of the universe, saving it in disasters, being bound by responsibility, no one understands Zinch, no one helps Zinch, which makes Zinch feel tired. You endowed Slanesh with a soul, and let her learn to care and be considerate from endless desires and pursuits. Then do the same to me, and free me from endless reincarnation. I understand, since this is what you expect, then I have no reason to refuse. Now I want to crush your body and liberate your soul from 917. Qin Sheng drew out the giant alloy sword. The support force from Semu had disappeared, and his only means was this weapon. He didn't know if he could succeed. After all, the body of the evil god is just an ordinary thing. The giant Pan Ji, who has been multiplied by 10,000 times, is no longer able to break the color shell. Come on. Zinch tremblingly opened his remaining right arm, expressing his determination to Qin Sheng. Qin Shengwu's sword slammed down fiercely like iron, bang, bang, several times in a row, but did not leave any scars on Zinch's body. This is going to be difficult. A burst of attacks made Qin Sheng gasp heavily, and it was impossible to take Zinch out and smash his body with Pengucation. The terrifying virus left by Nurgle had already infected Zinch's whole body. Reaching the final stage, he was enduring mental and physical torture, telling himself all the secrets. The wisdom power of the crystal labyrinth maintains Zinch's sanity. Once he goes out, he will not only go completely insane, but also expose himself to Nurgle's vision. He is too weak to resist at all, let alone CIBC Korn. The two evil gods, even if the giant Pengu had all the firepower, they might not be able to protect Zinch. At this point, can I only rely on myself? No, I still have a means to rely on. Thinking of another possibility, Qin Sheng immediately posed with his sword, concentrated his mind, and sent his thoughts to the depths of his mind to find the power that could help him. If what Zinch said is correct, please respond to me. The ancient will. Qin Sheng shouted in his own mental space. Host, what's the matter? After a long silence, the system's voice sounded. The four evil gods of chaos, is what Zinch said true? Your existence, their birth, and the final disaster. That's right, it's true. Why did you choose me? There is no particular reason. Maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know where I drifted after I separated, and finally woke up with your rebirth. I understand. I will ask you about other things later. Please lend me the force area. It can't be done. Please the host to complete the test with confidence to gain strength. Why? I can't overly interfere with the rules of the world. If the host wants to gain more power, he must complete the test to achieve rationality. Quote. What nonsense is rationality? The creature you created is constantly dedicating itself to your mission. No one helps and understands him. Now he is being tortured. Are you still going to stand by? See the system nonsense. Qin Sheng directly speak rudely, with anger. The host, please be careful with your words and deeds. Of course, the system is not so easy to talk to. A powerful electric current fell on Qin Sheng's spiritual body, which made Qin Sheng feel the terror of death. That force could easily crush himself, even if he faced the evil Shendu. He didn't have this feeling, the true will to dominate all things. Do you want to see your children suffer? Zinch is for your continuing mission. Enduring mental torture, Qin Sheng spoke again. Child, this sentence touched the system. After all, it created the four evil gods. After being exposed to the punishment of Qin Sheng took a breather. Only this time. Next time is not an example. After a long silence, the system decided to help Qin Sheng once. After hearing the answer he wanted, Qin Sheng withdrew from the mental space. When the consciousness returned to reality, Qin Sheng only felt a numbness all over his body, and even a burning smell. What's wrong with you? I just discovered that your body was hit by an extremely strong electric current from the unknown, and even I couldn't stop it. It's nothing. The negotiation is over. You get ready, I'll help you regenerate right away. Qin Sheng laughed, not caring about the attack at all. Quote. Zinch became confused, and then the power that erupted from Qin Sheng made him understand what it meant. Qin Sheng was negotiating with the will of the world. Zinch closed his eyes again, opened his right arm, and accepted it calmly. Feel the blow of your mother's love. Seeing that the condensed strength was almost enough, Qin Sheng said a joke, and chopped out the alloy giant sword with all his strength. This sword has been amplified by the system, and it also successfully shattered Zinch's body. A ball of green light condensed from the wreckage. I feel more relaxed than ever. Without the torment of Nurgle's virus, Zinch's source of pain was cut off. The next step is the highlight. Zinch. Qin Sheng, who was wielding the sword, only felt that the strength in his whole body was drained, and after a long period of conditioning, he finally recovered. I see. Zinch's spiritual body said. Feel this glorious evolution. Assimilate with Iron Heart. Qin Sheng stretched out his hand to the blue-green light ball, and a strange light gushed out, completely enveloping Zinch's spiritual body. Feeling this light, Zinch only felt a burst of relief. This was the warmth he had never had since he was born. Even if he is omniscient and omnipotent, there are many things he cannot understand, such as his mother. He is a product born of the wisdom of the Eldar, and he has never been able to understand the other lives he observed, the emotion of the first meeting between a mother and a child. But today he can understand. He also understands. He is never alone. Someone is watching him. Someone is accompanying him. Thank you, my child. Even thousands of words are better than my mother's words. From today onwards, I will call you, Chi Wei Lina. 80%. 383rd Chapter Tampering Day War Resurgence. Chapter 383. If we talk about Semu, he is youthful and full of allure. Givailina gave Qin Sheng more maturity and stability, a sense of wisdom and mystery. If you use age to describe it, Semu is about 18 to 22 years old, and Givailina is more like 30 years old. Of course, it is more due to her tactical figure, which is more youthful than other tactical figures. Be more mature. Evil Goddess Kivirina. Race. Silicon-based creature, tactical humanoid. Body length. 190 centimeters. Occupation. God Leader. Active skills. Black magic. Givailina inherits the title of Lord of all magic, possesses many powerful black magic. Domain skill. Crystal Labyrinth, a special space composed of majestic wisdom and magic. Passive skill. Wisdom can improve the knowledge level of everyone on the right. With the powerful observation of the real eye, no clues can escape Kivirina's pursuit. Special skills. The possibility of guiding hope has the powerful power to weave the future of all things and interfere with fate. Qin Sheng looked at Givailina's attribute panel, and there were as many as 5 skills, and the numerical attributes were so high that they exploded. In addition to not being very good at melee combat, it can be said to be almost perfect. Apart from the fact that Kivirina's gender is different from Tzeentch's, everything else has been perfectly inherited from this ancient evil god. After the light assimilated by the Iron Heart disappeared, Givilina opened her eyes, and Qin Sheng couldn't help but fall into the simple wisdom in her eyes, as if she was in the long river of time, and the time was right in front of her eyes. The projection machine, from the formation of chaos, to the division of the universe, to the evolution of races, all these scenes told him the truth of the world. Qin Sheng, don't refuse it. Qi Weilina said. Only then did Qin Sheng show it. This is a gift from Qi Weilina, a gift of wisdom, and then she will settle down to learn and accept it. This is a precious wealth. After a long time, Qin Sheng's entire consciousness returned to reality, and he felt as if he had been sublimated, and his entire temperament had changed. If this wisdom flows outside, I'm afraid it will drive all scholars and scientists crazy. Qin Sheng couldn't help but joked. This is just 1/100th of my wisdom. You are my lord, so I will dedicate these things to you. But you are still too weak. What I bestow is just the existing common sense. I'm afraid if you make it worse, you will collapse in an instant. You have to digest it for a while, and there will be a second wave later. Why don't you just forget it? I think the acquisition just now is enough. Qin Sheng was a little scared. He almost couldn't bear it just now, and if it happened again, it might kill him. I'm afraid it won't work. Stop quickly, you are a bitch. Seeing that you can still speak, you are probably ready. Then let's start now, I will be very measured. Shivarina's eyes showed a cunning light. Iron Heart assimilation's biggest shortcoming at present is that it cannot be restrained. The thoughts and behaviors of the evil gods, the former Semu and the current Givilina, are tormented by pain and happiness. Their masters. When Qin Sheng was destroyed by Givilina's wisdom, the battle outside the crystal labyrinth was already in full swing. First, the giant Pengu driven by Semu confronted the two evil gods of Korn and Nurgle head-on, and then the Tzeentch army led by Cha Zan Ake and the tactical humanoid army led by Desara faced off against the two evil gods. The Legion of Plague. Although Korn and Nurgle devoured Tzeentch's original power, they were successfully dragged down by Semu in the face of the Pengu giant who had a 10,000-fold increase, and was assisted by a psychedelic clone. Slaanesh kid, I didn't expect you to take refuge in an inferior human being and attack the big brothers. As an evil god, Korn is a fighting madman with a stupid head, but his perception is not weak at all. Who is sitting inside? The yin and yang are strange. I just obeyed my fate and surrendered to the Emperor. Besides, my life now is not worse than when I was an evil god, and I still have things that I didn't have at that time. Sei Miao said with a chuckle, not caring what the fear of being said at all if. Korn also sensed that something was wrong. He had dealt with Slaanesh many times, the usual enchanting and strange, neither male nor female voice disappeared. First he changed into a clear and moving female voice. Before he came when he said something, Nurgle had already spoken first. Brother Slaanesh, as long as you give up your resistance and come back, no matter what you become, I will still recognize you as a younger brother. When Nurgle opened his mouth, he was tolerant. Of course, this is also a characteristic of Nurgle. He is the god of the driving force of all things. He has endless energy. He loves life, whether it is a crying baby or a raging plague germ. In his view, it is a manifestation of life form, accepting all believers, regardless of old, ugly, good or evil. He tolerates the world. Because of this, he is honored as a loving father by believers. But his words, when matched with his appearance, seemed extremely strange. Nurgle basically appears as a corrupt and huge creature, full of corruption and stench, and extremely swollen, surrounded by black clouds made up of demonic insects all the year round, and each demonic insect has a belt on its back. There are deadly plague germs, and there are bunches of grape-shaped herpes growing on the waist, and various decayed organs are constantly flowing out of the holes in the body. These mucus, organs and herpes will split into some nurgling. Nurgling is like a group of children playing with each other in the filth, and giggles from time to time. People with a little bit of willpower will only feel disgusted when they see him. Sei Miao naturally also disliked it very much. I advise you to surrender to the Emperor early and accept the glorious evolution, especially you, Nurgle. Change yourself to a suitable appearance early. What's wrong with us being normal sisters? Quote. HMPH, stubbornness. Korn snorted coldly, and rushed forward with a wave of his claws. Nurgle, on the other hand, didn't care. He just got away from pestering Semu, and went to another battlefield to release the plague virus. In another battlefield, Cha Zan-ak won't lose against several 8th level demons alone, and he is strong in both magic and martial arts. Even Korn and Nurgle strengthened their men. Still being beaten by Cha Zan-ak lost his temper. Of course, this situation changed rapidly with Nurgle's involvement. The evil god's virus was extremely terrifying, and killed many people in an instant. Qin Sheng's tactical humanoid was also corroded into residue after being contaminated. Cha Zan-ak, who played very seriously, was negligent in defending and was accidentally hit. He fell to the ground in an instant and lost the battle. Seeing this, the 8th level demon under Nurgle immediately stepped forward to end Cha Zan-ak's life. The crystal labyrinth suddenly changed, and a terrifying glow burst out, defeating several demons. 80%. Chapter 384. The God of Wisdom fights the evil God of Plague. Chapter 384. The God of Wisdom fights the evil God of Plague. Nurgle squinted his eyes, and he felt Kavarina's gaze. The long-lost King of Magic finally planned to make a move. Nurgle thought that Tzeentch would make the last resistance. After all, Tzeentch was infected by his terrifying virus. He was seriously injured by the joint efforts of him and Korn, and his original power was dug out, like a candle in the wind. As long as he can break through the protection of the crystal labyrinth, capture and devour Tzeentch, his strength will increase by another layer. Of course, what Nurgle didn't know was that Tzeentch had been reincarnated as Kivirina, not only cured of his injuries, but also strengthened by the will of the world. His current strength has already broken through the shackles of the subspace, presiding over the crystal labyrinth in the strange space, attack on Nurgle. I saw the outer wall of the crystal labyrinth flickering with rays of magic energy bursting out. Various energy streams formed a dazzling light rain and gave 140 Nurgle a set of scraping therapy, in order to confuse Nurgle, making him think that he is still in that weak posture. Nurgle was naturally also fooled. Seeing that the attack from the crystal labyrinth was painless, he manipulated the plague virus to expand into a huge dark green sphere around him, with a diameter of several kilometers, forming his outer body protective cover. Moving the body rushed up at an extremely fast speed, like a boulder going against the tide. The movement here immediately calmed down Su Biantian, who was originally fighting, and his eyes were attracted by the battle between Kivirina and Nurgle. The magical energy of the storm bombarded Nurgle's virus shield, leaving clouds of smoke produced by energy explosions on its advancing path. Kivirina smiled when she saw this. Nurgle was hooked, and immediately manipulated the crystal labyrinth to change. The outer wall of the crystal labyrinth flew out from the main body, like 6 mirrors, surrounded Nurgle, spewed out a torrent of energy to bathe Nurgle, and at the same time, a powerful force of space pressed on Nurgle's body, moving forward. Nurgle dismissed this, thinking that Kavarina's power seemed mysterious and powerful, but it was just the last resistance, and continued to move forward despite her oppression. Nurgle, he's such an idiot, why didn't you just kill him? Qin Sheng finally woke up from Givilina's second indoctrination of wisdom at this moment, seeing her hold back Nurgle so much curious. I never thought of killing him, repelling him is enough. Givilina said lightly. If you kill him directly, I will be able to subdue him directly, and I will be able to complete the unlocking of the 10th level of civilization as soon as possible. Qin Sheng, no matter what method you use, the evil Shendu has to be subdued by yourself, instead of relying on my supernatural powers. This is what the will of the world told me, so I bestow wisdom on you. You. Givilina explained the reason, showing that it was not that she was unwilling to help him. So now you can take a good look at Nurgle's horror. Okay, now that the will of the world has spoken, Qingxi can't say anything, so he can only carefully observe what is special about Najing. Kivirina manipulated the 6 crystal mirror walls again to torture Nurgle, and patiently completed each link, showing it to Qin Sheng. Nurgle, who was crushed and beaten outside the crystal palace, was in a state of contempt and disdain, and then was shocked. I could feel the energy changes on his body. Like playing with yourself. At this time, the energy level of the crystal mirror suddenly increased, and the firepower of the 6 mirrors soared. Nurgle didn't notice it for a while, and was sent flying by a series of magic combination attacks. Nurgle's momentum, which was constantly rising, wanted to break through the crystal barrier in one fell swoop, but was caught off guard by this sudden operation. Tzeentch still has such strength. Korn's eyes changed slightly when he was fighting Pangu in the distance. At this time, the level of energy released by Tzeentch surprised him. Even he might not be able to easily blow away Nurgle's bloated body, let alone the seriously injured Tzeentch. The mirror wall looks like it is running with ease, but it doesn't want to look like it is desperate. Has he recovered? How is that possible? Seeing his main god being sent flying, Nurgle's 8th level demon's original excitement seemed to be poured with cold water, and the original joy of defeating Cha Zanak was suddenly muted. At this time, Nurgle stabilized his figure. His face was serious, and he suffered a small loss due to carelessness, and he was a little annoyed. Agitated the body, several pustules burst, and a disgusting liquid sprayed out, shooting towards the crystal mirror wall. The 6 mirror walls changed again, and the mirror wall that was in charge of defense stood at the frontmost position, and a majestic space force spread out to the surroundings, forming an invisible and huge space barrier to block the invading Nurgle venom. The venom hits the space barrier, but it flows to the ground like flowing water following the laws of physics. Nurgle was shocked. The original power of space could not stop the erosion of his own venom at all. But without thinking too much, he rushed up again, condensed a virus arm, and swung out a punch, trying to destroy the space barrier. I saw the fist exploded, and the mist of the disease spread to the surroundings. Even in a strong barrier, there will be times when facing the attack of evil gods. When Nurgle retracted the mist, he looked at the space barrier. I saw a series of cracks highlighted and spread rapidly. The space barrier was directly shattered, and the crystal mirror wall responsible for defense was also shattered. It's a pity that Nurgle's hard work only shattered one side, and the 5 crystal mirror walls flew up again, and became entangled with Nurgle once, and it was inseparable for a while. The 5-sided mirror wall besieged Nurgle, and the light of black magic shone on the battlefield again. Faced with such a play, Nurgle became angry. His body stopped moving, and he gathered energy, wanting to smash all the crystal mirror walls in one fell swoop. I saw a huge pustule growing out of Nurgle's back, and there seemed to be something alive inside the pustule, trying to break through the shackles of the skin all the time, making the whole pustule twitch 3.7 times. It looked very strange. Even if the crystal mirror wall kept releasing the torrent of magic towards the pustule, it still couldn't stop Nurgle's actions. Only a sound of tearing was heard, and with the outflow of a large amount of venom, a tentacle could rush out of it, directly smashing the crystal mirror wall. Immediately afterwards, several tentacles rushed out, smashing all the remaining crystal mirror walls. Seeing that after the task was completed, all the tentacles retracted, and even the disgusting venom returned to Nurgle's body. A burst of light flickered on Nurgle's wound, as if nothing had happened. The back returned to the appearance of not using the tentacles. Seeing that all the crystal mirror walls were shattered, Nurgle smiled in satisfaction, and shouted at the crystal labyrinth. Tzeentch, what methods do you have? Use them all. 80%. Chapter 385. Givilina's terrifying strength, the evil god retreats. Chapter 385. Kivirina's terrifying strength, the evil gods retreat. Of course, Nurgle's clamor was quickly answered. The fragments of the crystal mirror wall were suspended, and the light of magic shone again, and more fierce attacks swept in. As many fragments as Nurgle shattered the mirror wall, there are as many attacks he faces. That kind of sharp light beam, hitting Nurgle's body, can easily penetrate and burn it. With just one breath, the light beam is baptized instantly, and Nurgle's body becomes tattered, completely pierced by the light beam. Big hole. Of course, although this attack is powerful, it is not fatal, or Givilina had intended it, and when the situation was similar, she stopped attacking and continued to wait for Nurgle's performance. Sure enough, a strange life force enveloped Nurgle's body, repairing the damage of his body. Nurgle frowned, looked at the fragments of the mirror wall, and began to think about the solution. How? Can you see anything? With the installation of wisdom, coupled with the demonstration process of Givilina, Qin Sheng 28 has a comprehensive understanding of Nurgle in his mind. Nurgle's body is composed of horrible viruses. This virus can absorb energy. Mainly Givilina's magic energy is even more terrifying and can directly penetrate Nurgle's defense. Moreover, Nurgle's skin can also counteract attacks at the physical level, and it also has a powerful corrosive effect, which can be said to be a perfect meat shield. What's with that weird light on him? That's the power that Nurgle once devoured a god. Givilina added. God, yes. If you divide it according to your level, that god is equivalent to a 10th level civilization. Because of the restraint of the subspace, before Nurgle completely absorbed the power of the god, he was firmly locked in the subspace. The upper limit of the space. However, because it absorbs the god of life, it has a strong resilience. What you have to do is to find an opportunity to kill it with one blow. One-hit kill. Qin Sheng was in a difficult situation. This Nurgle not only had high defense and strong health, but also had strong recovery power. If he wanted to kill him with one blow, he didn't know how powerful this kind of attack would be. So Nurgle's subjugation, you have to think about it from the long term. Conquering Khorne first may have a chance to provide you with this kind of power. Sensing Qin Sheng's difficulty, Givilina provided Qin Sheng with a direction. I understand. Qin Sheng nodded. This time, let's do it like this first. We have to expel them first. You should digest the changes in yourself. Seeing that the situation was almost over, Chiweilina didn't plan to keep her hand. Zinch becomes stronger. Could it be that he has surpassed the shackles of the subspace? He originally thought that no matter how strong Zinch's methods were, because of serious injuries, even relying on the crystal maze would not be too outrageous. But the combat power he displayed now has broken this idea, and his strength has directly increased to a level. Otherwise, he must show up to release the more powerful and ancient magic, but now he can easily suppress himself. Hand power. The current situation has become troublesome. He originally wanted to use Khorne to entangle with that mechanical giant, break through the crystal labyrinth first, and devour Zinch, so that his own strength can be greatly improved, and the barrier of the subspace can be broken. Bondage. But now the situation has become more serious. Nurgle's idea of wanting a quick victory has been extinguished, and instead he has become the object of Zinch's tricks. Nurgle is worried that if Zinch and the others are serious, it will be difficult to handle. This cunning god likes to play with opponents. Now that his strength has soared, he can easily obliterate himself. I am afraid that we should join hands with Khorne to destroy the crystal labyrinth as soon as possible, otherwise when Zinch gets tired from playing, the situation will get worse. Khorne, let's work together to break this crystal labyrinth. Nurgle called for Khorne to help. Don't you think I don't want to? Khorne couldn't help but cursed in his heart. Although he also realized that something was wrong with Zinch, he couldn't get away from being rescued by Semu. He doesn't want to do this kind of thing that exposes his whole cards. If Nurgle suddenly bites back, he will be finished. Although Khorne and Nurgle have reached a cooperative relationship, after all, it is impossible for the evil gods to completely trust each other, and they both have their own calculations. At this moment, the giant god Pengu made a loud noise and switched back to the battleship posture. Khorne was overjoyed when he saw it, and instantly left the Pengu Cation to join Nurgle. Seeing this, Elise yelled anxiously, Semu, what are you doing? You close the posture of the Pengu god, you will kill the master, do you know? What are you doing? Two groups of evil gods converge, and a crystal maze can't stop it at all. Ilya also began to blame Semu. Don't worry, it was Qin Sheng who told me to do this, to expel those two evil gods in one fell swoop. Those two evil gods each kept their trump cards to plot against each other, and they were not willing to use their full strength at all. Sei Miao explained the reason. This made the two feel relieved. When Khorne and Nurgle met to discuss how to break through the crystal labyrinth, they saw the world spinning around them. I just felt that I was pulled closer to a strange space, and there was a person and a woman standing in front of me. No matter how huge her body was, she was incomparably small in front of that woman. Her body exuded the same wisdom as Zinch, but the aura was even more terrifying than Zinch. Are you Zinch? Khorne asked the man directly. Pair 253.1 inches. No. You can't be Zinch. Who are you? I've never heard of the crystal labyrinth, and existences like you. Where did Zinch go? Nurgle trembled. The voice shouted. He understood that he had been facing such a terrifying existence. I am Kivirina, also Zinch, the ancient evil god of wisdom, the lord of laws. At my most vulnerable, my mother saved me, created a new body for me, and endowed me with a new name. Impossible. This is impossible. You are definitely not Zinch. He should have been born from the desire of the Eldar just like us. Nurgle went crazy. Compared to Slaanesh Khorne, he has always been the most powerful, but he lost his sanity, probably because he was shocked by Givilina's strength. He could not accept what Kavarina said. On the contrary, Khorne is relatively calm, and he can't help but think of Slaanesh who fought against him. I am afraid that he is in the same situation as Kivirina in front of him. For some reason, he has become stronger, even stronger than when he was the evil god powerful. Is it because that human being, whether it is Slaanesh or Zinch, has come into contact with Qin Sheng and changed? Khorne is not a fool. Kivirina probably has her own purpose for pulling herself here. If the other party really wants to kill her, she is probably already dead, probably has a purpose. What is your purpose? 80%. Chapter 386 Purifying the Tampering Heaven. Chapter 386 Purification counts as a change. My wisdom led me to find the truth. That majestic power is older than the Eldar, and it is not something you pedantic can understand. I called you here to tell you that the endless struggle is over. Think about yourself. It is up to you to accept or resist the mission. Mission? What is our mission? Isn't it to corrupt the universe? Korn asked. Since he was born, he was defined as an existence that destroys the world, and what mission can he have? That's just the shackles imposed by the spirit race. You have to recall the meaning of birth on your own. I don't agree. As long as I devour you, I can become stronger, break through the shackles of the subspace, and go to a wider universe. I will never give up such an opportunity. Nurgle rushed towards Chiwei like crazy Lena. But he never thought about the figure of the other party, and disappeared without a trace, leaving only her voice echoing in this space. Go back. Soon, someone will subdue you and save you. When Korn and Nurgle regained their consciousness, they were already in the sky, and their subordinates and army were also sent out. Why don't you take action? As the strongest god of slaughter, if you release your strongest posture, you can easily defeat that traitor. The first thing Nurgle did when he woke up was to blame Korn. What are you thinking? Have you been fooled by Tzeentch's torture? Her current strength has long since left the scope of the subspace, and is not at the same level as us. The corners of Korn's eyes twitched, and he was dissatisfied with Nurgle. Sha-san hadn't realized what was wrong with the situation. Don't think that I know what you're thinking. I want to take advantage of my weak period of revealing my cards and take the opportunity to swallow me. You haven't even let your one go. Don't think that now that we have reached a cooperation, I will treat you. Don't worry. You speculate on me like this. If you really have thoughts about you, why would you share Tzeentch's origin with you? That's what I dug out. When my own thoughts are punctured, Nurgle is naturally he won't admit it. After all, it's the same for him whether he swallows that evil god, so he hastened to cover it up. HMPH, you know what you think. Since I've failed, I'm going back. Korn snorted coldly, and returned with his troops. Kavarina's words also aroused a lot in his heart. Doubt, he must now go back and make a joke and sort out his thoughts. Looking at the back of Korn's departure, Nurgle's eyes showed a fierce look. He knew that his ally relationship with Korn had come to an end, and he began to plan his next plan in his heart. Throwing Korn, Nurgle and the others out is considered a change to the sky. This is the first time Kavarina has used the power of the world. The frame energy of this power beyond space also shocked Qin Sheng. As long as Givilina is willing, now she can leave the subspace with just one thought, without any devices or facilities at all, and this power even surpasses the strongest killer move that Qin Sheng currently possesses, the power of the plane. Qin Sheng also asked the system how he could obtain such power, even if only a little bit is enough. The answer given by the system was after unlocking the 10th level of civilization. Since borrowing power from the system, Qin Sheng has also been able to communicate more with the system, but this is still thanks to Givilina. The world loves her child. Givilina often enters into Qin Sheng the spiritual space to communicate with the will of the world. Of course, it was all right at first, but after a long time, it became a kind of torture. Even when she just came out of the spiritual space, Givilina's desire for knowledge prompted her to enter again. The will of the world will not be bored, but it tortured Qin Sheng. After all, Givilina can only communicate with the will of the world through Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng couldn't bear to be humiliated by this kind of spiritual behavior, and finally broke out. Qin Sheng, let me go see my mother. Do I have something to ask her? Enough, my god of wisdom, please spare me. Don't go anymore. I can't eat well every day. I still have a lot of things to do. And whether I can fight Korn and Nurgle, what will happen to the final disaster, will you just think about it for me? Qin Sheng felt as if he wanted to cry without tears. Why are the evil gods so weird? And Sei Miao is also asking him for it all day long. Now there is another one who wants to enter his spiritual space. Next time, there will be another one who will practice with him every day. Korn, I'm starting to be afraid of things like subduing evil gods. But, stop it, you should do something else anyway. Can't you study magic and technology? Why don't you look at the group of demons below? At least you are the one who has been with you for so long, and your general is still in bed. The injury hasn't healed while lying down. Why don't you give them an explanation? Qin Sheng directly interrupted her, explaining what is the most important thing to her now. You should learn from Sei Miao at least. She immediately liberated her believers. How can you be so selfish like you? At least get down to business first by focusing on that wisdom all day long. Qin Sheng scolded her, which made Givilina realize her mistake. The evil god who has lived for an unknown number of years still relies on human beings to teach her the principles of being a god. Sei Miao naturally covered her mouth and snickered, watching her sister's joke. Quote. You're right, I really haven't done a good job in this aspect, so I'll go and arrange those things right now. Givilina admitted her mistake, and then said that she would go to the. One more thing, I also stipulate that from now on, there is only one chance to enter the spiritual space on your own initiative every week, and the time cannot exceed 12 hours in reality. I will only take you in when there is a special need. How is this possible? Chiweilina, who was just about to leave, almost staggered and fell to the ground when she heard Qin Sheng's words. Can't you think about those questions by yourself? What's the point of relying on others to tell you the answers? Qian Zhaochang. This. Bet. You are the god of wisdom, can these be difficult for you? Isn't the meaning of exploration just to discover the answer by yourself? It seems to be like this. Qin Sheng's explanation also made Givilina realize that she was a little eager for quick success, and that she used to rely on herself to discover everything and obtained much more happiness than now. I see. When Givilina left the bridge, Qin Sheng let out a sigh of relief, which can be regarded as solving the problem. Lord Qin Sheng, I'm really the better one. I know how to understand Big Brother, unlike my sister. Sei Miao, who had watched the play for an unknown amount of time, came out. The teasing appearance made Qin Sheng shiver involuntarily, and fled here as if he wanted to avoid the plague god. Seeing Qin Sheng's funny look, Sei Miao chuckled. On this day, Biantian finally waited for his light of redemption. 80%. 387th chapter 1st level 10th level civilization. Chapter 387 Tier 10 Civilization. Accompanied by Givilina's guidance, the majestic light of purification came to Swanbiantian. Unlike other evil gods' subordinates, after Tzeentch's demons were purified, most of them were elemental elves. It is the reason of the Lord of all laws. Of course, there are still many beings across the ages. Qin Sheng originally thought that Tzeentch's way of playing with people's hearts would also be hated after purifying his followers. What he didn't expect was that Tzeentch's subordinates were unexpectedly united. They not only accepted Tzeentch's mother transformed into Kivirina, but also respected her as their leader as before. Perhaps it was Tzeentch who used to promote the development of the world and continue the future. This great feat has deeply affected the demon men under him. 10 aspects also feel supremely honored that they are also participating in it. Influenced by Givilina's belonging to Qin Sheng, believers who still respect Givilina as their faith also indirectly gained faith in Qin Sheng, and indirectly responded to the fact that Qin Sheng's, Lord of the Universe, belief collection progress has increased again, which is one time for him increased by 10%, and the total progress reached 60%. Due to the fact that Chiweilina couldn't continue to stay in Swanbiantian, all the creatures of Swanbiantian, the god of wisdom Carlos replaced 933 as the commander, and they all stayed in the crystal labyrinth until they had a new place to go. The god of wisdom, Givilina, compiled 2 wisdom histories, one was kept in Swanbiantian for believers to study, and the other was carried by herself. As long as Severina has new research on wisdom exploration, she can share it with her followers through the synchronicity of wisdom history. And she herself has the great power of the world, and she can return to Swanbiantian at any time, so the arrangement for Swanbiantian comes to an end. Originally, Qin Sheng planned to keep Cha Zanaik, the 8th level demon who once wanted to kill himself, in the sky, but Givilina advocated that Qin Sheng should also assimilate him with Iron Heart, saying yes it was very useful, which convinced Qin Sheng. Under the influence of the assimilated light of Qin Sheng's Iron Heart, Cha Zanaik abandoned his former demon body and transformed into the first magic weapon tactical humanoid, named Arl. Arl has powerful martial arts and magic skills, and to a certain extent, it is enough to make evil gods get no benefit. Taking over such a powerful subordinate should have made Qin Sheng happy, but in reality he couldn't be happy at all. Lying powerlessly on the floor of the training room of the Pengucation, opposite is Arl who is holding a sword standing upright. Before she fell into the devil, Arl came from an ancient swordsmanship family, and their family's skills can be called the best in the world. But she is an extreme martial idiot, and she pursues becoming stronger, so she gave up everything. Under the door, learn magic. Kivirina walks into the training room. But what does this have to do with me? No matter how hard she is, she pulls me to practice solo. Qin Sheng was a little bit aggrieved. If you want to subdue Korn, you must master these martial arts. Why? Korn is a proud guy. Although this guy is violent and warlike, he still has a certain amount of wisdom when he calms down. After I talked with him, he can definitely figure out everything. But because of his overly twisted arrogant heart, advocating force, so he will not allow himself to submit to those who are weaker than him. Then I won't be able to subdue him successfully. How can my constitution be better than the evil god? Qin Sheng looked at his small body, and had to rely on the Pengu giant to barely match the evil god's body, and if there is no system I am afraid that it will be difficult for the booster to subdue Korn and make him recognize himself. That's why you need to master these combat skills. I have seen your battles, and the method is too single, and it is completely impossible to display the full strength of this battleship. Isn't there still you? I said before that you have to do things like conquering evil gods by yourself. Korn will fight you one-on-one, CIBD. You can use any props and equipment, but once you use other people's power, he will change your perception of your whole being, and even if you subdue him, his will to resist will kill you. Givilina shook her head, saying that she would not help Qin Sheng, and at the same time would not let Sei Miao do anything. Then you will make it difficult for me. I singled out an evil god. What a joke. Even if I use all my strength now, plus the Lord of the Universe's immunity, I may not be able to survive a few moves in the face of this attacking evil god. So before your engineering troops come, you should study hard with Alal. Chiweilina left without looking back. Seeing this, Qin Sheng also wanted to take the opportunity to leave the training room. Who knew that he had just stepped out of the door, and the world was spinning for a while, only to see Arl in front of him, and he returned to the training room. Don't you even give me time to rest. Seeing this scene, Qin Sheng couldn't help but twitch the corners of his eyes. My Lord Emperor, please don't waste time, let's continue. Alal said, and he had already set up his posture, waiting for Qin Sheng's attack. Qin Sheng had no choice but to charge forward with his alloy sword. Finally, when Qin Sheng was about to be overwhelmed, Anwei and the others finally arrived. The transformation of the abandoned nest was basically completed. After all, it was Qin Sheng's first stronghold in the subspace, and the most important thing was Harbi's, who was still in a stage of strength improvement and could not leave the abandoned nest for the time being. The arrival of Anwei and the others can be regarded as temporarily liberating Qin Sheng from the suffering of training, and he has received some tenderness that he has not seen for a long time. Level 9 civilization is the limit of the universe. Then the 10th level civilization is to walk with the world, and the universe is immortal and civilization is endless. Subduing the two evil gods, Slanesh and Zinch, allowed Qin Sheng to open the door to the 10th level civilization. When Qin Sheng subdues all the evil gods, he will be able to completely break through the shackles of the 9th level civilization, completely transform into a 10th level civilization, and be blessed by the power of the world. As long as there is a 10th level civilization in the universe, the entire universe will be upgraded to a dimension and the space will be strengthened. In the face of the final disaster, there will be a slight relief of pressure, and the whole world will not be in danger of collapse. The liberation of Tier 1 and Tier 10 civilizations allowed Qin Sheng to obtain many augmentation technologies. Under the research of scientific researchers Anwei, Yi Shuang and others, the enhancement of pengucation was also put on the agenda. This time, the strengthening is more aimed at its mech posture, making an all-round specialization. In order to familiarize itself with the functions and facilitate driving, Qin Sheng, who usually doesn't care about these things, participated in the observation for the first time this time. Only then did he understand why he was complained about in a single way. 81%. Chapter 388 Blood Gods Past, The Crisis of the Universe. Chapter 388 Blood Gods Past, The Crisis of the Universe. The more powerful the enemy is, the smaller the advantages brought by the power of space and the power of the plane will be. The level of evil gods can easily get rid of the frontal suppression, so these two forces have always led Qin Sheng to victory. It can only play a supporting role in the duel. Only the strength of its own hardware can play a key role. After all, it is not a legion battle. Therefore, the amplification technology of the 10th level civilization has been applied to the armor defense of the Pengu giant, the power output, and the fitting of weak joints. This is the data obtained by Givilina through the overall analysis of Korn. Guided increase. Then what is blood rage? Qin Sheng was more curious, what was going on with Korn's trump card? Korn is also known as the blood god. When the blood god was angry, the 1,000-mile Buddha slaughtered. Endless killings and wars allowed Korn to absorb blood and tyranny. When he needed it, he converted these substances into energy, which can be restored in a short time. A terrifying destructive force erupted. Isn't that just a state? Is it different? The problem is that there is no upper limit to the power of the explosion. No one knows how much bloody aura Korn has accumulated. You must know that the last time Korn used this move was the scourge of the spirit race. If it wasn't at the end of the blood rage, gradually weak, it can tear up this subspace by relying on its full bloom. Is it so scary? Then why didn't he tear apart the subspace and escape directly after recovering? Qin Sheng was also curious. Why would Korn be so powerful? Why would he just have another blood rage and destroy the subspace? He didn't dare to do this. On the one hand, there is a delicate check and balance between the evil gods, and on the other hand, because of what Nurgle has done, Korn is more afraid. Lina couldn't help but recall that she was once an evil god, and she was just killed by the evil god. The matter of sealing. Nurgle swallowed the god, which was extremely shocking at the time. Aisha, the god of life, was a survivor of the disaster of the spirit race and the last god at that time. She was also Korn's favorite goddess, but Aisha hated the killing breath of Korn. Going against his own way of life, he kept avoiding and fleeing. In the end, he strayed into Nurgle's territory. Nurgle was kind and sincere at the beginning, but as time went by, he gradually revealed his ambition and killed the god of life, devoured the other party's essence. Qin Sheng's eyes widened when he heard this. He didn't expect such a secret between the evil gods, and he became even more curious about what happened later. And then, what is Korn doing? After Korn learned that Aisha had fallen into the hands of Nurgle, he directly led the army to attack the Plague Heaven, and then marched slowly. Nurgle fought against Korn, but Nurgle possessed the power of the god of life, which provided him with powerful resilience, and it was close to victory against Korn. Seeing this, Korn also left angrily and returned to the army. The two sides have been fighting for 100 years. They are still hostile until you want to stir up the warp pattern. It's still Nurgle's problem. Is Korn afraid of falling into Nurgle's hands and being swallowed by Nurgle during the period of weakness after the outbreak of blood rage? After all, Nurgle is the most threatening one, even the strongest Korn is extremely afraid of him. Before Nurgle did that, we never thought of seizing the origin of others. We only thought of developing believers to improve our strength. So the four evil gods who were once monolithic began to suspect each other. When Lina said this, she couldn't help recalling the harmony at the beginning of her birth, being able to be called brothers, and then she seemed to think of something. Accidentally, I was led astray by you, saying that I went off topic. It's okay, I also like listening to stories, and it's good to know about it. Qin Sheng said it doesn't matter, he is very interested in things in ancient times. In order to deal with Korn's blood rage state, I propose to also design an explosive stance for Pan Ji to increase the overall strength. The disadvantage is that it requires a lot of power, and it can only be used once in the entire battle. Facing the powerful strength of Korn, Lina, as Qin Sheng's think tank, also tried her best. Participating in research on the one hand, and urging Qin Sheng to train on the other hand, wanting to increase the winning rate as much as possible for Qin Sheng's battle with Korn. Although the speed has been greatly improved, this preparation still took 10 years. From the early stage of sparring with the tactical dolls, to Zincha's personal sparring, Qin Sheng's strength has grown rapidly. If it wasn't for the system prompt, Qin Sheng would have sensed that the world has undergone tremendous changes, and he might have to prepare for a while longer. In the real universe, after Qin Sheng started the 1st level and 10th level civilization, the Daihao civilization developed rapidly and reached the limit of the 8th level civilization through research and exchanges with Qin Sheng in 10 years. Originally, he wanted to go to the subspace to advance to the 9th level of civilization, but Qin Sheng told him that the entire universe would be upgraded in the near future, so he didn't need to go to the subspace again, so he stayed in the present universe. Qin Sheng not only exchanged feasibility research technology with them, but also informed of the crisis of the final disaster. He dispatched some research dolls to return to the real universe in advance with the help of Lina, and assisted the Daihao civilization to build defense devices to deal with it. Of the policy. It's a pity that the plan can never keep up with the changes. In the galaxy where a certain civilization is located, the space barrier suddenly cracks and then shatters. Look, what's that? A lot of health points looked at the crack and shouted, and all the surroundings stopped and watched for a while. The Civilization Defense Force also immediately dispatched military forces to check. I'm finally able to come back to my home. In the space crack, the huge black shadow looked at the world on the other side and then glanced at those weak lives. What is that, little bug? Dare to occupy my home? Hateful, hateful, I want you all to die. My children, kill these intruders for me. Many small black shadows rushed to the real universe through this crack. The Civilization Defense Force realized the danger and immediately launched a counterattack. It's a pity that their weapons were useless against these interdimensional creatures, and then the battleship was devoured and destroyed, the entire civilization fell, and all life was killed. Come back, my child. It won't be long before we can return completely. At that time, we must settle accounts with the hateful power that hinders me. The Black Shadow shouted again, and those little monsters returned to the space crack. Seeing that all the monsters had returned, the Black Shadow disappeared, and the entire crack returned to its original state. Only a piece of civilization remains floating in this cosmic space. Such things have happened many times in the real universe. Civilizations at level 5 and below are all in ruins, and at level 6 there are only some survivors. For a time, the entire universe was in panic. 81%. Chapter 389 descends to the killing heaven. Chapter 389 descends to killing heaven. Qin Sheng looked at the message from Daihao civilization, and frowned. 3 level 7 civilizations were damaged, 7 level 6 civilizations had survivors, and 15 level 5 civilizations were in ruins. Countless small civilizations were wiped out. Looking at this posture, there is such a lot of hostility before they return. If they all return, I am afraid that all civilizations in this world will be on the verge of destruction by then. My lord, there are 2 reports of foreign visitors here. According to eyewitnesses, they directly sent diplomatic envoys to seek cooperation, and even took action to protect some weak civilizations. Daihao civilization, once again there is a message. Really, this is good news. Try your best to negotiate with them first, and make a decision after I come back. This news eased the 700, slightly, Qin Sheng's heavy heart. At least those Ritternees still have good intentions. I understand. The other party closed the contact. It can only be said that there are good news and bad news, and not all Ritternees are enemies. Chiwei spoke when she saw that Qin Sheng had ended the communication. Well, but not many, most of them can only be eliminated as enemies. Qin Sheng's eyes showed a fierce light. Since they are not human, he can't blame himself for not holding back. Now it's better to subdue the other 2 evil gods as soon as possible, and start a dry-level civilization. You are right. The 10th level civilization can not only improve our strength, but is also related to the survival of the civilization of the universe. Only by raising the dimension of the universe can they have the possibility of survival. Without upgrading the dimension, the civilization of the universe cannot progress. Many civilizations have already entered the 8th level. If they can all rise to the 9th level and form an alliance, they will be a force that cannot be underestimated. Then let's go. Target, killing heaven, let's go. Ever since World War I, the first thing Korn did when he returned to the killing days was retreat. Givilina's words made him confused, and he had to meditate and digest. What is the true meaning of the evil god, and what is his mission? He only knew that from the moment he became conscious, the people of the Eldar race called themselves Korn, regarded themselves as a threat, and tried to find ways to kill themselves. I was not reconciled, hated them and hated myself, became what they expected, a demon killer, a demagogic evil god, started his own conquest, spilled the blood of the spirit race on the ground, piled their heads into mountains, they swung their swords at me, and I responded with my tyrannical claws. But Kavarina told me that it shouldn't be like this. What's wrong with that? They hate themselves, and I hate them too. Hate is hate. Why do I hate them? They are afraid of me and want to kill me. What about before? I don't hate it, I even want to blend in with them. Before that, mission. Your mission is to protect the world. My child, please remember the purpose of my creation of you. Your mission is to protect this world. In the midst of a certain day's crisis, go to save everyone and continue the future. The evil god Korn, the long-lost rationality, has been thinking about it for 10 years. From the constant unraveling and reminiscing about the past, he finally found the answer. I didn't expect it. When Korn knew the truth, the first thing he did was laugh out loud. I, the evil god Korn who killed my whole life, will one day be entrusted with the mission of protecting others. No one would have imagined that. The old men of the spirit race couldn't figure it out until their death. The guy they feared turned out to be the savior of all things. Instead, they kept fearing me, instilling in themselves that I am a demagogic demon, and only thought about how to persecute me. It's a pity, there is no god in this world long ago, there is only one evil god who can kill and destroy. After a burst of laughter, Korn sat down on the throne, mourning and sighing. Too late, really too late. Now Korn hates even more, hates the God who created himself but ignored it, hates the hypocrisy of the Eldar, hates that the sad desire pollutes him, and hates himself for not realizing the truth earlier. When I woke up, it was too late. In this way, Korn fell into an endless loop of sorrow and hatred, and he didn't get out of the endless loop until the moment when the powerful momentum descended on the killing sky. As soon as his mind moved, he flickered to the sky above the slaughtering sky in an instant, facing the Pengu-Cation, who came from afar. You guys are finally here. It seems that you have recalled everything. Chiwei Lina took Qin Shang, came outside from the bridge, and stood facing each other. Since you already knew, why didn't you tell the truth sooner? Chiwei.no, Zinch. Korn questioned Givailina if she didn't tell the truth earlier, so that many things could be avoided, and she could have a different future when she waited for the evil god. I couldn't do it, even my thoughts were distorted at that time. You also know that although there is a great will to guide us, our birth cannot be separated from the spirit race. They are the strongest race in the world, but they are not perfect flawless, desire is their greatest weakness, and it affects us too. The more pure, the more insane it is to be polluted. 10 Everything cannot be avoided. She is full of wisdom and knows everything, but she has also been distorted, becoming an evil god who plays with people's hearts and confuses thoughts. That's until now. What's the point of recalling being together? We can't go back. Korn said sadly. You and I have done a lot of wrong things, this cannot be denied, and we cannot forget it, but it is not the moment to stop. For sins, atonement is what must be done now. Atonement. How to atone? Is it called atonement if you become like this and surrender to this human being like you? Korn laughed again. This was the most absurd thing he had ever seen. 3.8 inches. You will understand when you also accept evolution. Since, only through this form can it be considered as salvation. Kid, come and defeat me. Korn turned his gaze to Qin Sheng, who was aside. Qin Sheng was terrified at being stared at by Korn. He had seen his methods before, just a phantom shot, and cut off the arm of the god of destruction Mara, which showed his strength. Even though he knew that this battle was unavoidable, there were still some scenes that should be there. Does it have to be a fight? Joke. I have fought countless battles in Korn's life, and I have never been afraid of anyone. How can I surrender just because of a few words? If I can't defeat me, I will never admit it. Korn snorted coldly. This was his pride and self-esteem. Or, are you afraid? 81%. 390th chapters Fighting. Chapter 390 Fighting. Afraid. How is that possible? If you want to fight, then fight. Now that the other party has mentioned this, wouldn't it be timid to evade? Qin Sheng was also told that he was angry. Because of this battle, he suffers every day. Who knows this kind of pain? He is not afraid of fights. He has traveled along the way, and there are only a few fights, which ones are not suppressed by himself. If cowardice spreads, wouldn't it be laughed at? Very well, then you probably won't make a move. Korn turned his eyes back to Kavarina again. He knew the horror of the opponent's strength. If Kavarina also made a move, I'm afraid I have no chance of winning. Of course not. I know your heart is arrogant, but this is my lord's battle. I believe that even without me, he can easily defeat you. Givailina replied firmly. Okay, if that's the case then follow me. After finishing speaking, Korn led the way and flew to the depths of the killing sky. Givailina also took Qin Sheng back to the driver's seat of the Pengu-Cation, and followed behind. 28 Bloody Arena. Here is the arena for the killing days. The big demons of slaughtering heaven follow Korn's will to kill, and they are extremely warlike demons. This place advocates force, and the strong are respected. On days when there is no war, the great demons of Korn will come here to watch, or go into battle in person, enjoying the thrill that only fighting can bring. Even if you will be injured or die, you don't care. When Qin Sheng arrived here, the place was already full of big demons watching. They wanted to observe how the humble bugs who tried to challenge their king were torn apart. Although the bloody arena is big enough, it still looks small in the face of a giant ship like Pengu-Cation. Qin Sheng had no choice but to disembark all the tactical figures in the ship and go to the auditorium left for them by the demons. After the final commissioning, the Pengu-Cation no longer needs other people's assistance, and can be driven by Qin Sheng alone, and this is his own battle. He wants to completely crush the pride of Korn. Givailina, who arrived at the auditorium, used means to change the internal environment of the entire arena, allowing the Pengu-Cation to enter the arena, and allowing Qin Sheng and Korn to display their full strength without any scruples. No matter what kind of creature it is, as long as it pursues power, it can only be truly convinced by stronger power. This is a battle that determines fate, but for warrior, this is a simple, pure duel of strength. This battle not only represents the surrender of Qin Sheng and Korn, but also represents the future battle of the universe. Once Qin loses, even if his life is not in danger, the plan to subdue the evil god will go bankrupt, and the civilization of the universe will return totally shredded. Korn stood in the middle of the empty bloody arena, feeling something, the screams of demons, and the belligerence of the arena. Fate went around and came back here. His first battle was here. Others regarded him as a threat and threw him into the arena to fight with wild beasts. Since then, he started his road to Overlord. Now his last battle will also end here, and perhaps the end will be a new beginning. The giant god Pengu transformed and landed heavily on the ground. Korn felt the ground tremble, and then his figure began to swell, expanding to the same size as the giant god Pengu. I never thought that my final battle would be a decisive battle with a human being. I hope you don't mind fighting with you in this posture. Qin Sheng said lightly. He doesn't have the physique and body of a demon. It's okay, that's your ability. I can feel your introverted strength, but it's just that you haven't grown out of tools yet. Besides, this won't be the last battle between us. Korn's words were resigned to fate. Feel. Knowing that you will lose, why do you still fight? My glory and pride are not allowed to bow their heads until someone beats me down. Since this is the case, then correct your mentality, show the courage to fight against fate, and come to the war. I have prepared for 10 years for today, and I will fight hard. Qin Sheng is full of fighting spirit, and he does not want Korn to be waterproof. I just want to have a good fight. Okay, come on. Korn changed his posture, fighting spirit high. Roar, rumble, rumble. An aura like a terrifying giant beast emanated from the bloody arena. Many demons were terrified by this power, but they couldn't bear to watch this peerless duel with the fighting passion in their hearts. The power of gold and the power of scarlet are clearly distinct, and the fighting spirit between Qin Sheng and Korn keeps rising. Almost at the same time, Qin Sheng made a move, and Pangu's fist rushed towards Korn with an unstoppable momentum. Korn's hand was glowing red, and he punched with palm. The mental power and energy of one person and one demon are in a very restrained state, the kind of extreme that no third person can match at this moment. Boom. Fists and palms intertwined. Korn's body shook slightly, obviously a little surprised. Pangu's fist smashed past. One punch after another. The power of each punch is stronger than the power of the previous punch, and there is no sign of weakening at all. This is the momentum of getting braver as you fight. In fact, at this moment, Qin Sheng's mind and spirit have been completely integrated with Pan Ji Yu God. There is me in you, and you in me. The two are combined into one, and only then has the momentum of fighting more and more bravely. Although Qin Sheng's fist became stronger and stronger, 063 Korn's palm was like a barrier, and as Qin Sheng's fist became stronger, the feedback force became stronger. This is Korn, never changing, fighting in his own way, indifferent, unfeeling, and tyranny yet to come. Qin Sheng bombarded with one punch after another. Korn didn't dodge, and took every attack of Qin Sheng with his palm, as if he was dormant, waiting for the opportunity to attack. Suddenly, both of them chose to change their moves. Eat my blow. Qin Sheng, who rose into the air, retracted his left hand, pressed down his body, and suddenly blasted out with his right hand. This bombardment was like a high-frequency pile driver, and his fists did not stop attacking infinitely. Boom, 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 boom. Korn's eyes were ruthless, his palms turned into claws, his fingers were close together, and he stabbed out, carrying terrifying destructive power between his fingers, wanting to directly destroy the fist of Pengu Temple God. The collision of fists and claws produced an explosion sound, like a drum beating, making continuous sound in the arena. Seeing that this move was useless, Korn pulled back suddenly, opened half of his body, and changed from stabbing to slashing with a slight gap. He used his palm as a knife, and cut directly, wanting to chop Pan Jushin in the middle broken. Sensing this change, Qin Sheng immediately stopped punching and used his arms as a shield to protect his body. The powerful force directly knocked the Pengu god into the air. 81%. Chapter 391 Fierce Battle. Black Magic, Chaotic Purgatory. Chapter 391 Fierce Battle. Black Magic, Chaotic Purgatory. The moment the Pengu giant flew out, Korn didn't give Qin Sheng a chance to breathe, so he flew up, turned his hand into a knife, and slashed again. When Qin Sheng saw Korn rushing towards him, with a movement of his divine sense, purple light appeared on the appearance of the Pengu god, and the sea erosion purple light bombardment device was activated again. Purple Mons Storm. The sea-eclipsing purple light split into particles, and with Pengu God as the core, it began to rotate, forming a powerful energy storm, forcing back Korn who wanted to bully him. Korn didn't dare to be careless in the face of this move. When his sharp claws touched the purple light particles, they were disintegrated directly. Enduring the severe pain, he flapped his wings and left before the particle storm formed. Energy storm not only has powerful destructive ability, but also has great attraction, especially at the moment when it is fully formed. Korn felt that he was a little unsteady in his standing, but the huge attraction made him unable to stabilize his body, and he couldn't help but be drawn by it. If it weren't for the entire bloody arena to have Kavarina's space skills, the demons in the auditorium would be swallowed by this energy storm, and no one would be spared. And Qin Sheng, who was in the center of the storm, was also amazed. After the second strengthening, the Pengu giant became even stronger. The various data of the purple light storm were far more powerful than when they were used for the first time. But the Psy is the Psy, it may not be realistic to rely on this trick to solve it. Korn is also waiting for his own hands, healed by blood energy, although this recovery power is not as good as Nurgle's life power, but it is also an extremely abnormal treatment. Immediately dancing his demon wings, a strong natural storm condensed on the field, which was no less than Qin Sheng's particle storm. The two storms collided together, and neither of them would give in to the other, violently stirring the entire space, and finally cancelled each other out and dissipated. Qin Sheng saw that the storm subsided, and before Korn could react, he immediately shot up, brandishing the fist of Pan Ji Yu, and smashing towards Korn. Hundreds of attacks broke out in an instant, the most prominent being swift and violent. The roar in the bloody arena was like half an earthquake, making the earth tremble. After Korn took the first hit, he also quickly used his demon wings to protect himself. Although Qin Sheng's attacks hit Korn all of them, his demon wings' defense was indestructible, absorbing all of these attacks. Then he gave a loud shout and used a powerful recoil to knock Qin Sheng back again. After a brief separation, one person and one demon collided together again, and started wrestling like gladiators in ancient times. The power of the hedge radiated out, shaking the entire bloody arena constantly. Seeing that the wrestling was fruitless, one person and one demon separated and retreated again, and once again bullied themselves forward, fists met, punches and stabs collided together and there was a roaring explosion, the power was surging, and the ground could no longer bear this kind of attack. Shock wave, blasted to pieces. Qin Sheng had completely given up on defense at this moment, and then used offense as defense, turning his fists into palms. There was a mystery hidden in the palm of the giant Pengu, the light was shining, and the cannon in his palm attacked Korn. Korn turned his claws into fists, and the killing spirit gathered on his fists, facing Qin Sheng's cannon head-on. The two forces collided without hindrance, and exploded. The body should fly out of control, and the aftermath of the explosion completely destroyed the entire battle platform. Among the ruins, Pan Ji Yu stood up slowly, and saw Korn's body lifted into the air, his hands spread out, and countless weapons condensed from killing and cruel aura emerged from the void behind him. Whoosh whoosh. All the bloody weapons aimed at Qin Sheng and shot out, while Korn gathered a more powerful bloody sword in his hand, poured all his strength, and threw it out suddenly. With a loud shout, Qin Sheng deployed an energy shield on Pengu Titan's body, and twisted it with space force, causing many scarlet weapons to deviate from the attack target, thus preventing the bombardment of the scarlet weapons. But the blow thrown by Korn directly passed through the restraint of space power, smashing the energy shield. Qin Sheng immediately used Pan Gu's hand to grab the tip of the magic sword, thus avoiding being pierced by this move, but then the other bloody weapons directly blasted up without the space power and energy shield. Although these innocuous attacks could not break the defense of the Pengu giant, but it is not a solution to be suppressed like this. Qin Sheng threw away the magic sword, drank again, and sent out a powerful shock wave, which shattered the bloody weapons that had been bullying him. Then he opened his hands and summoned many weapons behind him. The difference was that Qin Sheng what's next is the technological light cannon, all kinds of beams spit out, sweeping towards the bloody weapon of Korn. The fireworks produced by the two explosions at once bloomed in the space in front of one person and one demon. But it was Qin Sheng's technological cannon that had the upper hand. The swift and violent attack directly interrupted Korn's spellcasting, and smashed all the subsequent weapons that had not yet been condensed into shape. Korn didn't waste any more time. The claws of Korn swept out, sweeping towards Qin Sheng with a monstrous aura of destruction. Qin Sheng was also very agile, converging the power of Pengu Giant God on his fist at this moment, and swung it out suddenly. The fists and claws met, and a huge explosion was produced again, and the strong wind generated by the explosion directly passed through the protective barrier set up by Givilina, and swept into the auditorium, making all the big demons sigh, fighting Horror Village. Quote. Qin Sheng, I know that your strength is more than that, use it all back. Amidst the smoke and dust, Korn shouted at Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng didn't speak, and devoted himself wholeheartedly to the integration with Panji Yu God. He slapped his hands suddenly, and the raging fire ignited, and the entire battlefield was instantly enveloped in fierce flames. Let Qin Sheng learn black magic. Although the current raging fire is powerful, it has no lethality against the evil god Korn. Qin Sheng's figure lifted into the air, and an ancient rune appeared beside him, Li Nuohao. With a sweep of his hand, a gust of hurricane enveloped the flame, and at the same time, streaks of black lightning merged into it, causing the flame to change. Its energy there has also been a qualitative change, and at the very outset of the hurricane is already milky white light. Combining several elemental forces together to form a terrifying ultimate move, not only can achieve indiscriminate range attacks, but can also target individual attacks. Of course, this requires more control, but under Chiweilina's teaching, it is not difficult at all. Every trace of elemental power is just right, and a slight deviation will destroy this balance. The conflict between energies is both a catalyst and a condensing agent. This is the power of black magic. Countless crystallization of wisdom makes these independent forces of nature form the most perfect match. Qin Sheng is like a blender, creating exquisite powers one by one. Chaos Hell. Descended. 81%. 392nd Chapter Sword and Axe Competition. Chapter 392 The Sword and Axe Competition. Korn feels the strongest in the center. The dark attribute is like a catalyst, raising the power of the fire to the extreme. The wind attribute fuses the two forces together and condenses the power without limit through compression. The outermost light attribute, the most stable, but most terrifying, breeds this process. The lethality of this kind of power has exceeded the body's ability to withstand it. After releasing the claws of Korn and blasting out with force, it was instantly twisted into the elemental furnace and disappeared. Korn is also a bit surprised. Ordinary power can't decompose his own killing breath at all. This kind of pure power destruction will one day also absorb and transform. It can be seen that Qin Sheng's understanding of power has reached an extremely terrifying level, making different people the power of the elements has become a whole. Once activated, it cannot be stopped, and it can continuously devour other powers. The chaotic purgatory continuously draws power from the surroundings, strengthens the stability of the internal spells, and refines Korn. But Korn is not a vegetarian. He has never faced countless battles. Although he is not used to the environment he is in, he did not rush to attack when he missed a blow. He was thinking about destroying the enemy. The environment of the bloody arena has already started to freeze at 8:20, and the chaos furnace has no fixed result, because it is chaos. Chaos is full of everything, everything can exist, and it can exist in any form. Under the ravages of strength, it will eventually be finished. Facing this kind of power that could kill him immediately, Korn's expression remained calm, waiting. The tyrannical force is constantly impacting, and it is about to form the final form of destruction. In just a moment, blood burst into the sky. Boom, 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 boom. Accompanied by deafening bangs, huge destructive power spread to the surroundings, followed by the complete collapse of the bloody arena, surpassing Givilina's protection, and the entire arena was heading for destruction. The group of demons watching the battle immediately spread their wings and fled from the auditorium. Givilina also led the tactical dolls to move their positions. The fight between Qin Kong and Korn can no longer be stopped by space protection alone. When the audience looked into the arena again, what appeared was still the unstoppable Panji Yu God and the proud Korn. The group of demons just boiled over, and Korn took out his weapon, the blood god's blade that the demons worship. This sword is invincible, Sib, once it comes out. It seems that such a venue is no longer suitable for us to continue playing. Qin Sheng said. He knew that the real battle had just begun. The fact that Blood God took out his weapon meant that he was really serious. Chaos Purgatory seemed to be Qin Sheng's upper hand, and Korn cracked it at the last moment, seizing the only gap in the absolute ultimate move. But in fact, the moment Korn drew out his weapon, the monstrous willpower to destroy directly tore the furnace apart. Looks like it is, Korn replied. Seeing that the surrounding space became even more terrifying, there was no limit. Chiweilina shot again. This time she used the power of the world. Qin Sheng and Korn's battle space was upgraded, enough to withstand all their attacks. Okay. One person and one demon responded in unison, and stood looking at each other again. Since you have already taken out your own weapon, how can I let you go empty-handed? Qin Sheng glanced at the magic sword in Korn's hand, and with a movement of his divine sense, Pangu's hand grabbed the space around him, and there was a crackling sound, and an axe was pulled by him from the crack in the space. To be precise, it is a high-dimensional weapon pulled out of the four-dimensional space. In this space where there is no need to worry about energy raging, they can display their full strength, and the two of them are ready to fight with all their strength. After eating corn of chaos and purgatory, he is like a normal person. This is the evil god, still looking down on the world, high-spirited, summoning the armor of the blood god, holding a magic sword, an invincible overlord, and his indifference and ruthlessness. The main theme, but there is already a faint flow of blood in his body, and he is about to enter his final posture. As for the Pangu god that Qin Sheng was driving, the golden light on his body was even brighter and full of vitality, with a trace of antiquity mixed in, just like the giant who created the world in the legend, exuding an unstoppable aura. The magic sword flipped over, and Korn was about to make a move. With a monstrous will to destroy, he slashed at the Pangu giant god domineeringly. Korn's slash carried the power of space, and the two were separated by 100 meters, but this sword directly crossed the gap and swiped across. The energy shield exploded from Pangu god's body, booming. The energy shield shattered, and taking advantage of a gap, Pangu held the axe with one hand and collided with the magic sword, which blocked Korn's domineering slash. And Korn has come to the side of Pangu god, and swung a claw. In an instant, the giant god Pangu was sent flying hundreds of meters away. Korn's sword slashed again, and the devil's claws assisted in the attack, and another burst of power poured into it, one sword after another, and suddenly there was another thunderous stab hit. Boom. This time, the Pangu god caught all of Korn's attacks, directly hundreds of meters away, and in midair, Korn's sword was full of murderous aura, bombarding it like raindrops. The giant Pangu hit all the way without any response, when the final blow wanted to pierce directly its body. Bang dang. Korn felt that his sword was blocked by something. He couldn't move forward, felt bad, and wanted to take it back, but found that the magic sword was restrained by something. There was no way to advance, no way to retreat. God Pangu grasped the magic sword tightly, and now his power is fully liberated, and he is not afraid of Korn's attack at all. With the increase of the 10th level of civilization, and the reduction of the damage of Qin Sheng, the Lord of the Universe. So Qin Sheng has been showing his flaws, relying on the kung fu of grasping the magic sword. He swung his giant axe and slashed at Korn. Korn couldn't dodge in time, took the blow abruptly, and flew backwards. The blood god's armor on his chest, including his own magic sword, were also smashed to pieces by the axe, leaving obvious wounds on his body. Korn covered his wound and looked at Pangu god, only to see the other party shaking his neck. As if he was a normal person, he was also a little surprised. His attack was not clear, except for the scratches left on its appearance. There was no substance. No damage was done. I didn't expect your defense to be so amazing. Is your scraping therapy also good? I feel much more comfortable all over my body. The giant Pangu wanted to do exercises, doing funny things to stretch his body, and matched with Qin Sheng's voice. This is undoubtedly a provocation to the evil god Korn. Okay. Very good. How dare you mock me like this? I saw Korn's aura soaring, the bloody aura circulating in the wound, recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. The majestic blood aura erupted from Korn's whole body, wrapping his whole body. Korn played his last trump card. The Wrath of the Blood God. 82%. Chapter 393. Blood Rage. Chapter 393. Blood Rage. Korn's blood erupted, making the entire killing sky dark. A desire to kill affected every creature in the killing sky. Even Qin Sheng's tactical puppet can't escape the influence of this conceptual desire, and the group of demons on the other side is even crazier. If it wasn't for Semu and Givilina, the 8th level demons already under Korn's command, who could still maintain their rationality and stabilize the situation, I'm afraid the two parties would have already fought together. And Qin Sheng, who was fighting Korn in the center, felt even more uncomfortable. The desire to kill had a deeper impact on him, constantly devouring his reason. This is also due to the wisdom that Givilina once instilled in him, which allowed Qin Sheng to maintain his rationality and suppress the urge to turn into a beast in his heart. If you rush up now and wrestle with Korn, the burst of blood will directly tear the Pangu god to pieces. No one knows how long Korn has accumulated this terrifying killing blood. The blood energy erodes and wraps, leaving Korn's whole body only red, pure and pure blood red, and only blood red. from solid to crystal clear, then to illusory, so illusory that blood chi condenses outside the body into an outer layer. The shadows constituted the figure of Korn's blood rage. False and real, seemingly real but not real, gave Qin Sheng such a feeling, as if there were two Korn folded together, as if they were real, and some seemed to be all fake. Korn summoned the broken magic sword back to his hand, and the magic sword became intact under the repair of blood, and then rushed towards Pan Ji Yu giant god with an astonishing speed. But Qin Sheng didn't know how to deal with this superimposed Korn. If it was a clone, he could still have traces to follow and calculate his actions. The superimposed Korn, Qin Sheng defended the outside and was injured by the inside, and defended the inside and was injured by the outside. Korn seems to be doing the same movement, but when it comes to him, it is different. In the state of blood rage, Korn not only has more amazing attack power, but also has an overall increase in speed in other branches. He chopped the dimension axe in Pengu God's hand to pieces. Faced with such an attack, Qin Sheng immediately revealed the power of dimensions, the power of space and black magic. The three powers were intertwined to arm Pan Ji Yu, but they still failed to stop the attack of the Garden of Horror. Qin Sheng, who was sitting inside the Pan Ji Yu god, only knew that the sirens were constantly ringing in his ears. Even with a 10th level increase in civilization power, he would face the risk of disintegration under the attack of blood rage Korn. In the end, under a sword strike by Korn, one arm of the Pengu giant god was cut off directly because he couldn't stand it. Looking at the outer coating that was about to be completely broken, Qin Sheng thought that he couldn't wait any longer. Originally, he planned to keep this move in the middle stage of Korn's outbreak of blood rage, and when he was weakening, if he didn't use it anymore under the current situation, he was afraid that Pan Ji Yu would be dismantled and smashed to pieces by Korn. Immediately, the core power of the Pengu god was activated, and the golden power gradually spread from the inside to the outside, reaching the outer coating, and the magic sword of Korn hit it, and the whole person was directly shocked back. Oh, faced with this strange power, he couldn't help being surprised. The power of the giant god is the power of the demigod created under the guidance of Kavarina, imitating the mighty power of the gods, and the purpose is to deal with the outbreak of Korn's blood rage. This power has been created by the technology of the 10th level civilization, and only the 10th level civilization has the ability to create this power. The explosion of this force barely allowed Qin Sheng to resist the attack of Korn. I didn't expect you to hide such power. Korn looked at the more resplendent Pan Ji Yu god with a playful smile. You have blood rage as your trump card, can't I have my trump card if it's difficult for me? My strength is no worse than yours, right? Very well. No matter how imitated it is, it still can't compare with the power of a true god. Korn said disdainfully. It's better than it, you'll know it after you try it. Qin Sheng smiled without any fear. Then come. Korn charged forward again with his sword. The heart of the mirror and the water. Fully activated, Qin Sheng once again merged his mind with Pan Ji Yu, and the two became one. The giant god Pengu seemed to respond to Qin Sheng's words, his eyes flickered, and the golden light all over his body became even brighter, as if he was created by himself. Fighting Korn with one arm, holding forward with the only remaining arm, a golden giant axe was condensed. The fiercest battle began. The golden giant god and the red blood god collided together, and the sound of axes and swords joining each other was clanging. The energy sparks generated by each attack blasted the surrounding space into cracks. The golden axe has the courage to go forward, and the blood demon sword is full of fearless ruthlessness. The energy of the two rays of light colliding together directly cuts through Givilina's space protection. Seeing that there was no space protection, Korn separated from Qin Sheng directly, and flew into the sky with both wings. Qin Sheng is also controlling Pengu giant god's burst thrust, following closely. The two gods fought together again in the sky of the slaughtering sky, and once they came into contact, a light wave exploded in the sky. On the ground, what the living beings heard was the constant thunder in the sky. In the originally cloudy killing sky, after a certain roar, heavy rain poured down. The intertwined power of the two gods unintentionally produced a natural reaction. The creatures could vaguely see that there were two light group combat. Battle of gods. When two people use their weapons at the same time, they will always be strong, and the two most powerful forces collide together, causing the surrounding space to be extremely unstable. Boom. The explosion of power directly blasted the two of them apart. Qin Sheng's giant god power marched forward bravely, and Korn's blood rage power continued to rage. The two gods have attacked many times, and they have been injured. The power of attack has already surpassed the power of defense. The giant god Pangu was already in tatters at this moment, and had lost an arm in the first place, so he was at a disadvantage. Korn is not afraid of getting hurt. The power of blood rage will always heal his injuries. When both sides keep accumulating injuries, he will definitely win in the end. And the power of blood rage that he erupted has completely entered a peak stage, so he only strengthened the attack rhythm even more desperately, not giving Qin Sheng any chance to breathe. When the blood sword struck, the Panjiyu god's axe fought back without fear, but after the blow, Qin Sheng found that the axe in his hand had a crack. Korn's blood rage is really terrifying. Even if he fires at full power, he can't gain the upper hand at all, and his Pangu Titan, the power of the Titan stored in the core, has gradually bottomed out. His current situation is precarious. 82%. Chapter 394. A blow that tears subspace. Chapter 394. A blow that tears subspace. The gap between Panjiyu and Korn was still too great. Facing another blow from Korn, the golden giant axe finally couldn't support it and exploded, even with the only remaining arm. The power of the giant god was exhausted at this moment, and the broken Pangu giant god withdrew from the golden posture. The whole body was full of cracks, and the merciless raindrops hid its appearance, sliding down along with the laws of physics. Korn also stopped attacking after Pangu Colossus withdrew from Colossus pose. The group of demons watching on the ground, after the battle in the sky subsided, flew up one after another to investigate the results. Seeing the Korn victor's posture, he suddenly boiled. A challenger was defeated by the king's sword, and their king was invincible. The shouter, in anticipation, Korn beheaded his foe, declaring final victory. Emperor 743, have you lost? Elise couldn't believe that Qin Sheng actually lost. Korn's blood is still too majestic, and the power of the giant god that he worked so hard to develop in time was exhausted before it reached its peak. Judging from the results of the battle, Qin Sheng lost. Kavarina opened her mouth. Analyzing the current situation, it is still too difficult to defeat Korn head-on. If it is not that time is too tight, she actually does not intend to start the war so early. The Emperor, will his life be in danger? Hurry up and save him. Elise was a little anxious, grabbing the opponent's hand as if she had grasped a life-saving straw, and now there was only Givilina on the field. People have the ability to keep Qin Sheng. Semu, what do you think? Indeed, from the results, Qin Sheng lost, but in fact, he should have won. Korn will not kill her. Sei Miao spoke, but gave a different result. Really, it's true, Qin Sheng has won Korn's approval. Givilina added, and her addition also made the rest of the tactical dolls feel relieved. That's great. Elise also turned from sadness to joy, and became happy. However, I think it's better for you not to make a move. Sei Miao spoke again. What's the matter? Is there something wrong? Chiweilina's expression suddenly became serious. The battle is probably not over yet. Korn seems to be brewing something. His emotional changes are telling me that things are far from as simple as I saw. Even if you really don't intend to help, you must ensure Qin Sheng's life safety. On the basis of inheriting the power of the god of desire, Semu obtained the power of the god of emotions, enabling her to perceive everything by observing the emotional fluctuations of living beings. I see. Givilina nodded. Although she knew that Qin Sheng was the result of victory, she could not observe the course of the battle. Semu's words made her more alert and increased the attention on the battlefield. If the situation is not right, help anytime. The screams of the group of demons boiled, and stopped with Korn's movements, and the battlefield fell silent instantly. Qin Sheng, I admit that you are a strong man. If you are given a little more time, you will definitely be able to surpass my strength. Looking at the dilapidated Panjiyu god, Korn, who had been pondering for a long time, finally spoke. Korn, I never thought I'd made so many preparations, but I still couldn't defeat you in the end. Qin Sheng smiled helplessly and bitterly. The power of the evil god was truly terrifying. Since I was born, I have fought countless opponents, and none of them can see the peak period of my blood rage. You are the first one, not only forced out my whole card, but also fought with me to the present state. Quote. Oh, then I'm a little honored. Your potential makes me not want to kill you, but I look forward to fighting me again after you become stronger. But, there is no such opportunity to see that day again. The power of my blood rage has been accumulated for so many years. The purpose is to smash this subspace that binds me one day. It would be a pity to withdraw from blood rage now. What do you want to say? So I want to ask you, Qin Sheng, if you are really the one who bears the fate, do you have the guts to take this blow that shreds the subspace? Now it's Qin Sheng's turn to be silent. He may not be the opponent of Korn in the rising period of blood rage. Is it possible for him to take the full blow of the peak period? No, the current Qin Sheng has no possibility of receiving this kind of attack. Givilina heard this, and immediately came to Korn to stop it. Why not, Zinch? If you can't even block this move, what qualifications do you have to make me surrender? Korn looked at Pan Ji God again, looking at Qin Sheng who was sitting in it through the broken steel body. If you really have the possibility to transcend everything and change everything, then take this trick, let me see your extraordinariness, and show your invincible spirit. Qin Sheng remained silent. Korn, are you forcing me to fight? Or let me be your opponent? Kivirina summoned her staff. Her eyes were fierce, staring at Korn. In time without you, I can still complete the mission. If you want to fight, I may not be afraid of you. Korn made a gesture and was ready to fight. He was full of blood and anger, and he might not be afraid of Kivirina. I saw, Givilina, the whole body runes appeared, and the power of elements gathered around her. Korn is also holding a magic sword, erupting with a more powerful momentum. Okay, I'll take it. Qin Sheng in the Pangu said suddenly. Chiweilina, this is my battle, you go down, it is enough to protect the others. But, Qin Sheng's sudden opening caught everyone's surprise. Givilina wanted to say something to stop her, a strong will entered her mind, and she saw Qin Sheng's resolute gaze. Quote! After dissipating the elemental power and runes around her, Givilina returned to the ground. The other tactical dolls around immediately began to ask what happened and how the situation was. 1.3 This is Qin Sheng's own choice, and I can't change my fate. After finishing speaking, Givilina looked solemnly at the sky, where the final duel was about to usher. Faced with such an answer, everyone could only follow Givilina's gaze to the sky, and silently pray for Qin Sheng's safety in their hearts. After hearing Qin Sheng's affirmative answer, Korn immediately dismissed the surrounding demons. He hoped that no one would disturb him in this final duel. Qin Sheng also activated Pan Ji God's backup energy and poured it into Pan Ji God's various systems, including the exhausted power of Titan, which was also replenished, although the energy was not much. The power of the giant god once again circulated on the body of the giant god Pangu, and the golden light shone. Seeing this, Korn was moved. Qin Sheng, are you ready? 82%. Chapter 395 Ironheart assimilates all wills into a fortress. Chapter 395. Come on. Qin Sheng growled directly without being wordy. Very well. Since that's the case, let me see the possibilities hidden in you. Korn raised the magic sword in his hand, and endless terrifying power gathered towards the blood god blade, not only Korn's own power, but also the power brought to him by the entire slaughtering heaven. The blood god, the territory of the tyrannical god, responded to his master's request, transforming the killing energy that had existed here for a long time into energy, and continuously delivered it to the magic sword in the hands of Korn. The believers of the blood god, like the land of killing heaven, responded to the request of the Lord God and dedicated their strength without hesitation. After the magic sword absorbs these energies, its aura gradually soars. The terrifying red light emanating from the sword covers the golden light of the Pangu god, illuminates the cloud-covered killing sky, and illuminates the heavenly ministers in the entire subspace. No matter where it is at this moment, as long as it is a creature in the subspace, if it raises its head and looks up at the sky, only red will be seen in its eyes, and it will feel deep fear of this terrifying red. Qin Sheng, if you accept this move, I will cripple my body and surrender to you, and I will never betray you. In Korn's eyes, he changed from holding the sword with one hand to holding the sword with both hands, and the blood and energy in his body gradually left and gathered towards the magic sword. When the last sliver of bloody power flowed into the magic sword, a crack appeared on the ancient blood god's blade, as if it couldn't bear the power. The evil god Korn has withdrawn from the state of blood rage, condensing all the power of his body into the magic sword. Under the oppression of this powerful force, his body can't hold it anymore, and cracks have appeared. Korn exhausted his last ounce of strength and swung the sword towards the giant god Pangu. At this moment, the magic sword completely burst and rushed towards Qin Sheng. Take this, the blow that tears apart the subspace. The wrath of the blood god. Can I really take this blow? Facing this majestic power, Qin Sheng was at a loss, he didn't know how to handle himself. The system told him to just take it, but when the system borrowed strength, the system refused, and only told him that the power to solve all these lies in him. But the problem is that Qin Sheng didn't know how to use it, so he began to regret it, regretting not leaving here earlier, developing for a while, and then fighting against Korn to subdue this evil god, but now it's too late. Facing this terrifying destructive power, even if Semu and Givilina shot at the same time, they couldn't keep themselves. It can only be said that Korn is worthy of being Korn, the ultimate killing and fighting god of destruction, his strongest blow. He actually comprehended a trace of the will of the world. He only comprehended the will to destroy by himself, even Kivirina relying on the gift of the will of the world to barely obtain the power of the world. Perhaps it is really a dying person. Qin Sheng felt that everything around him was blurred, and he returned to his previous life. During the duel of the evil god, his main ship was hit by the energy of the evil god. The ship disintegrated and itself was engulfed in the flames of the explosion. It turned out that everything was just a dream. I was already dead, my rebirth was just a fantasy before I died, and I didn't have a system with ordinary human races struggling to survive in the universe. But why are those experiences so real? Which side is real and which side is false? I always feel as if someone is calling me, but why can't I remember who it is? No matter, those things are not important at all, they are already dead anyway, so it's so tiring, isn't it good? Are you really going to give up like this? The mysterious voice sounded. What else can I do? I'm already dead. Qin Sheng growled. Are you really dead? I died long ago when I was struggling to survive with the human race in the universe. Your rebellious heart, it wasn't like this when I met you. Even in the face of desperation, you would not give up. You even sacrificed yourself to protect your own people, just to buy them time to escape. This is you. Never give up even if you are weak, and seek hope in suffering. So don't lose yourself. Medical wish. Qin Sheng only felt a special pain in his brain, and all the fuzzy things gradually became clear again, and the voices calling for him also became clear. Emperor. Your Majesty the Emperor. Qin Sheng. Yes, I am reborn, all is true, and I am still in the Battle of Korn. I once lost to the evil gods, but now that I am reborn and come back with them, it is impossible to fall here. I will go further in the future, and I will never lose, because I am stronger than ever. Amidst the impending siren of Pan-Ji-Yu God, Qin Sheng finally woke up. The Pan-Ji-Yu God has now been worn down by Korn's final blow, leaving only a body, struggling to resist the tyranny in the energy reserve. Korn's powerful blow made Qin Sheng lose himself, thinking that he was invincible, and lost consciousness. After waking up again, he only felt that his brain was buzzing. For a long time, the tactical girls who accompanied him to this day kept calling him. No longer needing to enter the hyperlink, 910 can hear the voices of each of them, which warms Qin Sheng's heart. I have never been fighting alone. In this galaxy, he is one with all the tactical figures, and we have come to this day together. Even if they are fighting against Korn, even if they are not doing it by their side, they are facing Korn with themselves. Everyone, I'm fine. Qin Sheng's words made the noisy mind instantly quiet down. Thanks to all of you on this journey, so please fight with me now. With the closed eyes again, a strange glow appeared in Qin Sheng's eyes. Assimilation of iron heart and unity of will. At this moment, all the tactical dolls had the same radiance in their eyes as Qin Sheng. No matter whether they were in the killing sky or what they were doing in other places, they all stopped their movements, and everyone's minds condensed into one. This radiance emerged from Qin Sheng's body, and then spread to the body of Pengu Giant God, causing its disappeared parts to regenerate. The entire Pan-Ji-Yu God changed from gold to silver, and against the killing torrent of Korn, he once again called out the dimensional battle axe. The souls gathered by the crowd also made Pan-Ji-Yu a real god at this moment, waving the giant axe in his hand. Cut out with one blow. 82%. Chapter 396. The Strength of the 10th Level Civilization. Chapter 396. The Strength of the 10th Level Civilization. Korn's final blow was not only to wear down Pengu God, its huge torrent of energy, but also wanted to destroy the entire subspace. In this huge power, the Pan-Ji-Yu God is like a boulder standing against the current. It is too small, and more energy is huge on the subspace barrier behind it. This barrier is to block the real world from the subspace. Impassable gully. The energy hit on this barrier is absorbed and transformed, just like a water drop hitting the water surface, and then spreads to the surroundings in the form of ripples. At the very beginning, this situation was like a mud cow falling into the sea, without any fluctuations, only slight ripples spread to the surroundings. But with the passage of time, the energy keeps flowing in, from ripples, to fluctuations, to tremors. The energy accumulated by Korn over the years is huge and rich to an unimaginable level, and this level has gradually surpassed the subspace wall. The limit that the barrier can absorb and bear. The barriers of the subspace seem to be conscious. Maybe it is the remaining will of the elders of the spirit race. They want to stop everything, and they don't want the evil gods who have harmed the world to escape from the subspace, so that the barriers are twisted, reversed, thickened, etc. In this way, resisting the attack of Korn. You old bastards, you still want to resist. Korn naturally sensed the changes in the space barrier. Even though his condition was not so good, he turned his heart around, and the output power of the magic sword in his hand increased by 1 point. In the face of powerful forces, any small movements are futile, and the movements of the space barrier are directly suppressed by the energy of Korn. Under the strong output of fear, the absorption of the space barrier is greater than the range and speed of the transformation, causing the absorbed power to undergo a chain reaction. In the end, under the dual effects of the inside and the outside, the defense of the subspace was finally overwhelmed. Kacha, when the first sound of breaking sounded, followed by the second and third sounds, the entire subspace barrier that was attacked was already broken. It is full of cracks and there is a risk of complete collapse at any time. Of course, at this moment, Korn sensed something, and his brows began to frown. The guy who was submerged in the torrent of energy actually reacted again. Because of the loss of the reaction signal, Korn thought that Qin Sheng had been wiped out by himself, the strongest blow, which was a pity, but it was impossible to stop the attack, so he no longer paid attention to Qin Sheng, and turned to himself. The goal is to destroy the warp barrier. But now the long disappeared human beings are breathing, and they are constantly climbing up. Korn can feel the introverted momentum, and it has gradually overwhelmed him in the terrifying place of power. Not long after, Korn saw the most unbelievable scene in his life. His strongest blow, years of preparation, that concentrated huge energy, was split in two at one point, cut apart. At that point, it was no longer gold, but silver. I saw the tattered Panjiyu god, but at this moment, the silver intact posture appeared in my eyes again. It's impossible, how can someone be so strong as to separate my power? Under Korn's unbelievable gaze, Panjiyu condensed a brand new battle axe in his hands, held the axe in both hands, and swung it down suddenly. The groundbreaking blow directly cut through the flow of Korn's energy, and rushed straight at him. And go. In his unbelievable vision, the magic sword that condensed power was shattered, and his body was also shattered. After losing the cohesive power of Korn, after a silent tremor, it exploded. A loud bang soared into the sky, resounding through the entire subspace. The silver Panjiyu god also withdrew from the silver posture after swinging this blow, as if losing strength, fell down and hit the ground heavily. Blood God is defeated. Under the astonished gazes of all the demons, Givilina immediately led the tactical figures on the ground back to the Pengucation layer. When Qin Sheng woke up again, the first thing that caught the eye was Elise's expression of tears of joy. My lord, you have finally woken up. The consumption of iron heart assimilation to the final posture was too great. Qin Sheng only knew himself in a daze, manipulated Panjiyu giant to swing an axe, and then he didn't remember anything. Here, what happened? Am I still fighting Korn? Already won, His Excellency the Emperor. Elise hugged Qin Sheng and said happily. It's no wonder the world doesn't allow us to make a move with the combination of mind and mind. Givilina nodded appreciatively, and Semu also nodded in agreement. What's going on? What happened? Qin Sheng was puzzled by everyone's behavior. You really don't remember anything. I just remember that I had a very distant dream. When I woke up, my brain was in chaos, there were many voices, and then it was very quiet. Finally, I controlled Panjiyu to swing an axe and I didn't know anything. It was the only thing Qin Sheng could remember. And well, it seems that you are not quite used to that posture. What gesture? Your iron heart assimilation can not only transform other races, but also has a hidden ability, the combination of mind and mind. Spiritual union. Crazy. Yes, it gathers the spiritual thoughts of you and all T-dolls, including your strength of course. But I don't remember when it was triggered. Probably this is to die and rebirth. The fear brought by the power of Korn directly swallowed your consciousness. After losing consciousness, even we jumped, and when we were about to rescue you, we found that you were surprised afterwards. Semu and I discovered that you and the tactical dolls around us were exuding a strange fluctuation, which merged your consciousness into a whole day, and integrated your strength together, becoming the key to defeating terror. The key to abuse. Givilina gave Qin Sheng the answer based on her own analysis. As the combined power is strong as this Wang Nuo's, it stands to reason that even if they are all concentrated, it is unlikely to be greater than corn. Don't underestimate yourself and these children. Everyone is a solid 9th level civilization anyway, and 1 foot has already set foot in a 10th level civilization. The gathered force emperor is probably the middle level of a dry level civilization. Although the energy is powerful, it is only infinitely close to a 1st level civilization. As the power of the 10th level civilization so terrifying? Givilina's words made Qin Sheng wonder how powerful this power would be if all the 10th level civilizations were liberated. Is this the gold content of walking with the world? Well, the apex of the subspace evil god is civilization, but the subspace is too restrictive for the evil god. This is why corn can't beat you. Sure enough, it is still subspace. If you don't leave for a day, you will be restricted by him for the rest of your life. Qin Sheng also had a solid understanding of the answer, so he asked again. Then again, where did corn go? 82%. Chapter 397 Conquering Corn, Great Changes in the Killing Sky. Chapter 397 Conquering Corn, Great Changes in the Killing Sky. I think he should be doubting his own magic now. Givilina pointed to the screen on the monitor. Only then did Qin Sheng realize that there was a blood-red energy cluster floating there, and corn had become a spiritual will body. His body has been destroyed by your power, and he is still in a state of confusion. Chiweilina changed the face of the monitor and asked Qin Sheng to check what happened. I saw that Killing Sky was directly divided into 2 by a bottomless ravine, and from time to time there were other auras coming from the depths of the ravine, the aura of another world, the aura of the real universe. No wonder. You know, this is the power accumulated by corn's hard work over the years. The majestic power barely breaks the space barrier into cracks. You have to continue to output the energy with the same effort to have a chance to break open completely. But he was crushed mercilessly by you, with just 1 blow not only splitting his strength, but also breaking through the defense of the subspace. Corn was completely shocked by Qin Sheng's strength, and it was hard to refuse. Such a huge gap paralyzed his entire consciousness. Then let's subdue him first. I see. After the energy replenishment by Chiweilina and others, the Pan-Ji-Yu god whose energy was exhausted came back to life. Kivirina manipulated Pan-Ji-Yu, directly controlling Corn's spiritual body, making it impossible to escape. Of course, what's more, Corn has not yet recovered from the shock at this time. Corn, are you convinced now or not? Qin Sheng asked. Qin Sheng's words brought Corn back to his senses and refreshed him. Unexpectedly, Qin Sheng, you still retain such a strong whole card. I thought you should be annihilated with my energy. What I didn't expect is that you not only survived, but also broke my whole card. Energy, even opened the passage between the subspace and the real universe with 1 blow. I am convinced of this level of strength. Corn's words revealed sadness and desolation, but he was helpless. Corn, in terms of strength, I can admit that I am not as good as you. But you lose because you are too arrogant. You insist on forcing me to take your last blow. If it is not like this, I may not really have a chance to beat you. In a way I have to thank you. Thank me. Yes, it's because of your strength that I was able to put myself to death and come back to life, and to comprehend that power. This is really a surprising result. When he first lost, Corn had imagined that Kavarina and Semu would fight, but he didn't feel the fluctuation of the 2 divine powers. The energies on Qin Sheng had something to do with the weak people around them instead. Being defeated by the power of the weak, what is there to refute? He borrowed strength, he borrowed the power of the entire slaughtering heaven, but he still couldn't compare to Qin Sheng. Maybe this is his own fate, so he just directly throw in the towel. Since I have already lost, then I also accept my fate, and I will do as you please. Corn, who recognizes the facts, can be regarded as a relatively heroic person. He accepts his fate calmly, and he doesn't have to worry about what will happen to his subordinates. A nice ending. Then from now on, you will accept the glorious evolution like other Givilina. But just when Qin Sheng was about to release the assimilation light of iron heart assimilation on Corn, a sudden change occurred. What's this? My body. My body. From the first scream, there were demons screaming in pain. Fear and anxiety instantly swallowed the entire bloody arena. When Qin Sheng looked at it, some demons turned into pus. Even if some demons were intact, they also entered a state of madness, attacking the companions around them. Qin Sheng frowned. There is no doubt that there is only one possibility for this to happen. When he looked at Chief BFFC Valina, he saw the other party nodded, confirming his conjecture. Nurgle is coming. I didn't feel his breath. His strength has been further improved, and his absorption of Aisha's divine power allows him to avoid my detection. Givilina explained that Givilina's perception is basically difficult to escape from her detection except for individual characters. There is no doubt that Nurgle, who has double theocratic power, is one of them. Nurgle, this despicable villain, dare to take action against his subordinates, get out of here. Seeing that his subordinates were injured, Khorne also became angry immediately, and the mental sphere became extremely unstable, roaring towards the surroundings continuously. Khorne, you are really a waste, you can't even kill a human being. Hearing the roar of Khorne, Nurgle immediately became angry. It's just that his voice came from all directions, and it was still impossible to tell where it was. Suddenly, a figure rushed towards Qin Sheng and the others. Even in order not to waste time, he directly chose to use his body to smash the house in front of him, leaving ruins and ruins. The person who came was actually Sarah. Just looking at her appearance, it is estimated that she was infected with Nurgle's terrifying virus. Her breath was extremely disordered, and her whole body was covered with horrible corrosion marks. She threw something at Pan Ji-yu God, and shouted directly Road. Master Blood God, run, get out of here. When Givilina caught it with the other one of Pan Ji-yu, she realized that it was also a body of spiritual will. Feeling that familiar aura, Qin Sheng also understood who it was, Valkia, the 8th level demon who wanted to kill herself in the past. Qin Sheng had smashed it to arrange for Tzeentch and Khorne to go to war before, took up most of her body. Now that Nurgle is invading, she is probably still in the recovery period, her body may have already been infected. Sarah has no choice but to dig out her spiritual body, after all, she is the wife of Khorne. So bring it out and come to Khorne. But in the face of the evil god, the 8th level demon is not an opponent at all, and Sarah barely escaped with a seriously injured body. Stupid bug, you still dare to resist me, die. Nurgle's words sounded again, and a cloud of black mist floated in, swallowing Sarah in an instant. Viruses corrode the 1002 nets. Run. These were the last words of the 8th level demon. Nurgle slowly came from a distance, surrounded by all kinds of weird and decayed things. This time the battle was even bigger than when he was attacking the sky. Wherever they went, there was a desolation, devouring the vitality around them, and the Khorne demons who were dead, all twitched their bodies strangely, and after a while, they all stood up and joined the decaying army. Killing Heaven has fallen. 83%. Chapter 398 Retreat. Take a long-term plan. Chapter 398 Retreat. Take a long-term plan. Because Nurgle devoured a god, his strength was unfathomable. Even though he was suppressed by the subspace, he still escaped Givilina's gaze. He has been lurking in the killing sky and observed the duel between Qin Sheng and Khorne. Since the First World War, he has been hiding in corruption to develop even more terrifying viruses, and began to formulate his own plan. The target is Khorne. Because of the god of life Aisha, the two have always had friction and wars. And because the attack plan failed and the alliance broke down, Nurgle set his target on Khorne. Of course, Nurgle would not choose to fight head-on with Khorne. After all, Khorne in the blood rage state will not be affected by his own virus, so he is always waiting for the opportunity. The duel between Qin Sheng and Khorne is the best opportunity for Nurgle. Sure enough, Khorne not only released the blood rage, but also took away the power of killing heaven and even the demons under his hands. For the sake of his own face, he unleashed his strongest blow without any cards, but was still defeated by Qin Sheng. Nurgle can take advantage of it. Although Nurgle was also horrified by Qin Sheng's strongest blow, he knew that there would be no second such attack in a short period of time. He immediately released the virus to killing heaven and summoned his own decayed house. It's a pity that Givilina's attention at the moment was on Qin Sheng, and she forgot to be on guard against Nurgle. So much so that when the demons of Khorne discovered Nurgle's great army, they had already been infected with the virus. In addition, their power was taken away before, and they were defeated in an instant. Many demons were still controlled by Nurgle, under the double torture of body and spirit, became a part of Nurgle Legion. Sierra also discovered this situation at the first time, but facing Nurgle's strong attack, the 8th level demon had no way to do anything, and with the virus, he barely saved Valkia, escaped with difficulty, and then killed Valkia. After Chia's soul was sent out, she couldn't escape the disaster. The menacing Nurgle looked at the Khorne spiritual body with greedy eyes. It's a joke that the mighty Khorne will end up like this. Nurgle, you nasty bastard, I'm going to kill you. His subordinates died tragically in front of him, causing Khorne to lose his mind. If he hadn't lost his body, His weak body would have fought Nurgle desperately if he delayed releasing his blood rage. It's thanks to you that I was able to take down the slaughtering sky so easily. For your hypocritical glory, I even took away the energy of my subordinates. Who will I show for Khorne? Nurgle showed a strange smile, mocking Khorne. You. Khorne was a little out of breath when Nurgle said the point. What chance do we have of defeating Nurgle? Seeing Nurgle's triumphant expression, Qin Sheng felt very uncomfortable. After working so hard for so long, he even made a wedding dress for someone else. If all of them are purified, it will be a considerable amount of prestige. But now the dead are dead, and the living are not dead. They have been tortured by Nurgle and become a member of his decayed army. There is no possibility of purification. The light of purification can only be used for living beings. Nurgle's rotten army is all dead things, but the spirit and will are trapped in the body, always under the control of the other party. It's my fault. If only I could keep an eye on Nurgle. Givilina fell into deep self-blame. I ask you, what are our chances of winning against Nurgle? Seeing that he didn't get the answer he wanted, Qin Sheng's tone was full of dissatisfaction, but then he realized the problem and added a sentence. The matter has come to this point. It is useless to regret it. The important thing is to defeat the enemy and win the victory. I'm afraid we have to leave here now. We can't conflict with Nurgle for the time being. Chiweilina was a little angry when she heard it, and realized that she was wrong, and quickly analyzed the situation. Why, even if we faced Nurgle in the full body period, we could only fight to a draw. Now we are exhausted. If we continue to entangle with Nurgle, if we are really entangled, I am afraid that we will be consumed to death. With your support, can't you win? No. In order to maintain your duel, I used the power of the world to maintain the enchantment, but the enchantment was torn apart by your combat power and suffered backlash, so I am temporarily unable to support you with all my strength. Givilina explained her situation, but it was not enough to fight recklessly. My abilities are more inclined to consume each other with him. Nurgle's attack does not rely on energy and brute force, but mainly virus attacks. Continuous entanglement will only become more and more unfavorable to us. Semu added, there was nothing she could do about the situation. Qin Sheng himself also used iron heart assimilation, and under the side effect of the unity of mind and mind caused by the unity of will, his whole body was depressed and had not recovered. But looking at Khorne's appearance, he couldn't bear it. The other party was attacked by Nurgle and became a loner. Qin Sheng, help me avenge and kill Nurgle for me. Realizing that he could not take revenge, Khorne pinned his hope on Qin Sheng inside the Panjiyu god, and began to beg the other party to take action. These words made Qin Sheng's mood more complicated at the moment, and he began to hesitate. Why do you refuse to take action? Aren't you afraid that Nurgle will escape to the outside world through the tunnel you opened? 0. Seeing that Qin Sheng didn't make a move, Khorne spoke again, trying to make him realize the seriousness of the matter. Khorne's words also made Qin Sheng realize that he might not be able to just leave this place after getting the ditch he opened. If Nurgle is really allowed to leave this place and enter the real universe, I'm afraid it will cause a bigger catastrophe and let him quickly expand his strength. At that time, no one can stop him. Qin Sheng, if you are worried about that passage, there is no need to. Even if the worlds on both sides are opened up, it is not so easy to escape from the subspace. The remaining will of the elders of the elder race will not allow Nurgle to escape. Try to stop it. We must leave here quickly, make some adjustments, and then find a way to deal with Nurgle. Seeing Qin Sheng who hesitated because of Khorne's words, Givilina immediately explained. Nurgle below, as if he couldn't wait halfway, quickly stretched out several tentacles made of venom, and attacked Pan Guchen. Facing Nurgle's attack and the constant dissuasion from those around him, Qin Sheng took a deep look at Khorne, and finally could only make a decision in his heart. Let's withdraw. With a helpless sigh, Givilina manipulated the giant god Pangu to avoid Nurgle's attack, quickly left here, turned and left the killing sky. Why did you leave? Seeing himself getting farther and farther away from the territory, Khorne roared unwillingly. Sorry 6. 83%. Chapter 399 Prepare for Battle, Nurgle Strikes. Chapter 399 Battle Preparation, Nurgle Attacks. Sorry, expressing apology is the only thing Qin Sheng can do at this moment. Why run away? Khorne asked unwillingly. Now we can't fight Nurgle hard steel. You and I have just experienced a big battle, and we have no spare power to deal with Nurgle. Let Tzeentch take the shot. Isn't he freed from the shackles of the subspace, and can easily crush Nurgle? Why not let him take the shot? Kavarina is now suffering from the backlash because she maintains the duel between you and me and uses the power of the world, and her situation is not much better. Is it necessary to watch Nurgle slaughter my subjects? I trust you to decide this duel. But the result is that I escape here alone. Korn's trembling voice showed its infinite regret. This sudden change made Korn, 223, lose everything. No one thought of escaping. If the situation didn't allow it, how could I allow Nurgle to do evil? This kind of sudden situation is something that no one wants to see, but both sides came to the fore in the end and handed over their cards. Qin Sheng looked back at the slaughtering sky again, looked at the land that had been swallowed by Nurgle's rotten aura, and seemed to hear the cries of those praying for the salvation of the Korn demon, and secretly made a decision in his heart. Korn hopes you can understand that this retreat is not because we are afraid of him, but to preserve our strength and avenge him. I promise you will not let Nurgle go, and I will definitely save your subjects, no matter what method is used we'll do it. Korn didn't speak. He understood what the situation was like. Even though he couldn't swallow this breath in his heart, he could only accept it helplessly. Seeing that Korn didn't respond, Qin Sheng knew that he had acquiesced, and ordered Givilina to leave the killing sky as quickly as possible. When Qin Sheng returned to Swanbiantian, he immediately asked Sei Miao to contact Anka Bilu to find a way to organize the creatures of blissful heaven to withdraw to Swanbiantian, and use this place as a base to resist Nurgle's invasion. Nurgle is coming fiercely. If you don't gather people together, I'm afraid that you will disperse your combat power. Instead, you will suffer a big loss and send the souls to Nurgle to corrupt and expand your army. Qin Sheng also arranged for Anvalia and other scientific research personnel to quickly upgrade the armed dolls, and then they will be sent to the battlefield to deal with Nurgle's army. After arranging everything, Qin Sheng lost consciousness again and passed out. The side effect of the Iron Heart assimilation on Qin Sheng was still too great. The reason why the tactical dolls are fine is because they are essentially computer-oriented. Although they have independent consciousness, they can be combined at will. However, Qin Sheng is still a human being. Although the data of all parties is quite high, his consciousness does not have such a large capacity. He can deal with the concentrated thoughts of all tactical dolls, resulting in brain overload. The fainting frightened everyone, and Qin Sheng was immediately rescued and treated. Fortunately, the level of half-step 10 civilized medical treatment is high enough. After treatment, the damage caused by the Iron Heart assimilation was dealt with, and Qin Sheng woke up. It's just that the treatment took 3 full days, and many changes took place in the subspace in 3 days. According to the news from the data transmission, the slaughtering heaven has completely fallen in the past 3 days, and the Nurgle army immediately marched to the blissful heaven. If the retreat was not timely, the creatures in the blissful heaven at this moment would have already become members of the decaying army, and the opponent would rush directly one empty. After discovering that there were no living creatures in blissful heaven, Nurgle's army immediately turned and marched towards Swanbiantian. How do we deal with the enemy now? Qin Sheng asked the crowd in front of him. Nurgle hasn't shown up until now. I'm afraid he will lie there and wait for an opportunity. Semu spoke first. The current Nurgle is afraid that his strength has improved again. When we smashed Korn's body back then, we did not recover the opponent's original power in time. Nurgle probably has devoured Korn's original power. Let's make an estimate for him if so, the strength is not much weaker than me. Kivirina is a little worried. Nurgle has 2 theocratic powers and 4 original powers. This kind of strength is already unfathomable. Did not recover. Maybe I shouldn't have been merciful at the beginning, and directly killed Nurgle, so as to avoid future troubles. I haven't recovered from the backlash yet. This decisive battle can only play a supporting role. Qin Sheng nodded. I understand what Givilina's words mean, and the trump card may have to be Iron Heart assimilation. When I used it before, there was no Semio and Givilina in the paint, which reduced my burden to some extent. But this time, I am afraid that not only the power of the 2 of them must be added, but also the transformed Korn and the power of the 3 gods must be combined to have the strength to fight against Nurgle. It may take as long as possible. In a few seconds, you have to look for opportunities. Boom! A huge explosion sounded suddenly, interrupting the pre-war meeting of Qin Sheng and others. Just when everyone was still wondering, a report from a tactical doll came in. Nurgle's army has arrived and is fighting with our forward deployment. I didn't expect it to come so soon. Nurgle really refused to give him any time. Qin Sheng couldn't help complaining, which also showed more sideways that Nurgle's strength can be seen from the strength of his army. If it was normal, it would take at least 2 days to go from the blissful sky to the sudden change of sky. This is less than 4 hours away from the previous report, which means that Nurgle's army has arrived at Swebiantian in less than 4 hours after leaving Blissful Heaven. Qin Sheng, go and transform Korn first, we will delay you for a while. The improvement that Korn brings to you will determine the direction of this war. Qi Weilina emphasized the importance of Korn, so Qin Sheng first focused on Korn. I understand, you have to be careful. Qin Sheng nodded and immediately rushed towards the Pengucation, where Korn's spiritual body was imprisoned. The others, under the leadership of Givailina, left the Pengucation and went to the battlefield. As the strongest warship in Qin Sheng's 2.2 forces, Pengucation naturally stayed in place and was used by Qin Sheng in the decisive battle with Nurgle, and it could only play its greatest role in Qin Sheng's hands. Are you finally here? I thought you'd forgotten about me. When Qin Sheng came to the detention room, before he could speak, Korn was the first to speak out. The big commotion just now, is Nurgle coming? I also just woke up from a coma, and Nurgle came too soon. It's normal. The current situation is in his favor, so he will naturally seize the opportunity. Why don't you go to the battlefield and come here? Korn also knew that the terror of Nurgle, his city, and her strategies were sometimes even more terrifying than Tzeentch. Because of this, he was curious why Qin Sheng didn't go to the battlefield. I'm here to find a way to win. 83%. Chapter 400. Blood God's Rebirth. Chapter 400. Blood God's Rebirth. What is my winning strategy here? Korn is a little funny. He is just a waste who doesn't even have a body now. What kind of decisive strategy can he have? After laughing, he thought again. What did Korn realize? The decisive strategy you mentioned doesn't really refer to me, does it? That's right, it's you. Qin Sheng affirmed his answer. Then what should I do? What else can I do? Korn asked, a little unable to contain the excitement in my heart. I never thought that I could take revenge on Nurgle. You are about to accept evolution like Givailina and Semu. At that time, you will come into this world with a brand new attitude. Whether you accept it or not, the final result will not change. Qin Sheng didn't intend to give Korn any other way out. The transformation was imperative, and Nurgle would not give himself a chance, no matter whether Korn was willing to accept it or not. Even if he was backlashed, he would still insist on completing the transformation. I see, come on. Perhaps it was the death of his subordinates that made Korn give up other ideas, only thinking about revenge against Nurgle, and he didn't care what he would become. Empty your mind and allow yourself to fully accept the light. 15. Immediately Qin Sheng raised his hand, and the light of iron heart assimilation shone on Korn's spiritual body. Following Qin Sheng's words, Korn emptied his other thoughts, only feeling that he had entered a different place, and a warm feeling enveloped his soul. There is a voice telling him everything, the birth of the evil god, the meaning of the mission, and the endowment of responsibility. Starting today, you will be reborn in this world under the name Kong Shuibing. No longer the blood god, the god of slaughter. It's the god of war who protects the world. The long and simple voice resounded throughout the detention room. Like Tzeentch, Korn has also been strengthened by the will of the world. Even though Qin Sheng had stopped his movements, it would take a long time for Kong Shuibing to transform, and he couldn't leave now. Because in the process of transformation, there was also a part of the power that shrouded Qin Sheng's body. This was the combat power enhancement brought about by the transformation of Korn. Qin Sheng feels this change in himself. He can clearly feel that his strength is constantly increasing, and now he can easily crush, without the Korn of blood rage. Even in the face of blood rage Korn, he still has the power to fight, instead of being crushed unilaterally. When all the transformations are completed, it will be much easier to deal with Nurgle, a terrifying enemy. So now Qin Sheng can only waiting for the transformation of Kong Shuibing to complete. A new god of war will also be ushered in on the entire battlefield that has changed forever. While Qin Sheng was still undergoing transformation. Even though Biantian has been completely shrouded in the cloud of war, Givailina and the others still underestimated the shamelessness of Nurgle and others. Instead of choosing to lead troops to attack, they kept choosing to poison the entire battlefield instead. Although Qin Sheng's tactical humanoid is more mechanical and has a certain antivirus and anti-corrosion effect, but in the face of Nurgle's terrifying virus, he still has to be careful. A little carelessness will be dissolved by this virus without leaving a trace. So in order to be able to deal with this virus attack, Givailina and others also chose to fight back. Flames and high temperatures are always the best nemesis of viruses. Givilina led the elemental elves to cast flame magic, built a flame channel for everyone, and cast anti-high temperature spells to provide powerful offensive conditions for the formation of commandos. Anviria drove the dispatched escort and attack ships to cover Nurgle's army with firepower. The missile beam firepower was fully activated, not stingy with energy at all, and the sound of explosions continued. The close combat protection troops led by Semu always kept Nurgle's army out of Kavarina's firewall, and once the opponent entered, they immediately took action to deal with the enemy. Under the alliance of the three parties, the advance of the decaying army was effectively prevented, and the two sides entered a state of tug-of-war. Looking at Nurgle's army covered by the flames, Givilina had a complicated expression. Nurgle himself never made a move, hiding in the dark and casting spells. Let the demons of Nurgle who were originally turned into fly ash appear on the battlefield intact under the treatment of powerful life. They want to rely on this endless army to consume all the energy of everyone, and then come out to harvest. Even knowing this situation, Givilina and the others have nothing to do. It is a good thing for him not to take the initiative to attack. No matter how many times they attack, they will be able to withstand it. Buying time for Qin Sheng. Givilina is still doing her best to show her calmness, so that Nurgle dare not show up without authorization. Although Nurgle is scheming, he has no great wisdom. He can't see the form on the court, and he doesn't understand Kivirina's strength, so he wants to rely on crowd tactics. He has the powerful recovery power of the God of Life as his whole card, and it is enough for him to consume it, but the opposite is not the same. No matter how majestic the power, there will be a time when it is exhausted. So resurrect Nurgle's army again and strengthen their strength. Nurgle no longer chooses to poison and wait, and orders the vanguard of the buried army, the Festering Heart, to launch a charge. This charge not only included the dead army, but also a large number of plague messengers, as well as many famous Nurgle Legion vanguards, tattoo tribes, Drakavald beast army and other creatures from various eras of 737 bewitched by Nurgle. Not afraid of the fire formation, the fleet's light cannons rushed to the tactical humanoid troops. If you fail once, you will come again. Every time you die, Nurgle will be resurrected and strengthened. If the opponent's strength is improved, then Givilina and the others can't fall behind, and they are constantly increasing their energy output. Seeing that such an attack still had no results, Nurgle sent his own big demon to attack again. Kukas, the father of the plague, Ogolt, the guardian of vomiting, Breben the rotten breeder, and Mobidix the rebirth, are the four great demons. As Nurgle's strength has become stronger, these four demons have also received corresponding support. Strengthening, from the original 8th level demon, to the point where he is only one step away from transforming into an evil god. These powerful demons are not afraid at all. Kavarina's flames directly broke through the sea of flames and killed them inside. Many tactical figures wanted to stop them, but due to the large difference in strength, they were directly destroyed by these demons. Fortunately, all consciousnesses were uploaded to the main computer in time, avoiding extinction. Now that the opponent is facing off, Givilina also chose a tactical humanoid with corresponding strength to counter it. The magic swordsman Aller fought against one, Sister Elise fought against one, Semu chose to fight against two, and the others who were slightly weaker continued to stop the invasion of the only army. The war between the two sides entered a white-hot stage. The war between the two sides entered a white-hot stage. The war between